Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I would like to call this regular meeting of the Board of Education to order. The next regular Board of Education meeting is on Tuesday, June 22nd at 7:30 p.m. in the board meeting room. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. A little bit of a stormy night, but everyone has gotten here from a board perspective, and we appreciate you all zooming in. So my comments will be brief as we have a packed agenda, but I think I should kick off the meeting by a very happy birthday wish to our superintendent, Dr. Alan Adley. Happy birthday to you. Thank you. I'm sure.
Thank you.
I might say after this year, you might be feeling a wee bit older.
Put a year or two on me, yes.
And then the anticipation, I believe, Marge Sion has a birthday on Sunday. So a very happy birthday to Marge, too. Happy birthday to you. So it's hard to believe when I say the next regularly scheduled Board of Ed meeting, school will be out. So we are fast approaching the end of the year. I just came from an incredible art show at the high school. The talent up at the high school is incredible. And so it was fun doing that. We also celebrated prom this past weekend, beautiful tent. And I heard great stories about prom up at the high school. The theater group managed to put on several shows of Something Rotten. So very exciting there. We have upcoming Fitch graduation. We have awards. We have the senior prom, which started last year. And of course, we have outdoor graduation. So all very exciting. So all kind of exciting thing coming up. And I just want to acknowledge Pride Month has kicked off up at the high school, and all great information going on around that. So thank you for all the work that's being done around that. And thank you for all the work that's done around all these events. I was also at the National Honor Society induction last night at the high school, another great ceremony. So we've managed to do all these things in person, which I think celebrates the hard work and the success of the students and the support of the parents and the incredible hard work of the teachers and the administration that's behind all these students. So thank you, everyone. With that, I will move over to public comment.
Good evening. If you would like to speak during public comment, please click the participants icon on the bottom of your Zoom screen. Next, click the raise hand option. You will notice the blue hand icon appear in the upper corner of your screen where your face, name, or number appears. When it is your turn to speak, the facilitator will identify you and announce that you are unmuted for public comment. Once recognized and unmuted, please state your name and address. You will have up to 3 minutes to comment. There are no raised hands at this time.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. We will move on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Adley.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening, and a special welcome to our students out there who are going to be recognized this evening, and to our wonderful retirees. We look forward to celebrating your achievements momentarily. I will not be redundant. Board Chair shared many of the announcements, so I will not be repetitive of those. I will point out that the Quiz Bowl at the high school, they placed 49th. I did not report this at the last meeting. 49th place out of 224 teams on Memorial Day weekend. And that actually, we were placed first in Connecticut as a school district in Connecticut. So thank you to Mr. Record and Alex DiVincenzo, Michael Dung, Karen Abrahami, Evan O'Rourke, Iman Obarji, and Dar Wang. They were all our team members on the Quiz Bowl, so thank you for that. ESY schedules have been shared with parents and staff, is in place, and we look forward to an in-person ESY experience. And just as a final reminder that the schools have different last days. The high school, middle school, and Royal is June 17th, and Hindley, Holmes, and Oxbridge and Tokenie are the 16th. And obviously, we extend our congratulations to our exemplary senior class who will be graduating next Wednesday, the 16th. I'll just reiterate one thing the board chair said. Thank you to all the parents, the staff, and the administration for going the extra mile with some of these experiences and opportunities to celebrate the kids down the stretch. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Dr. Adley. Moving on to approval of minutes. It is requested that the board approve the following: minutes of the special meeting and executive session held on May 25th, 2021, minutes of the regular meeting held on May 25th, 2021, and minutes of the special meeting held on June 3rd, 2021. May I have a motion? Mrs. Parent, second by Mr. Maroney. All those in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you. Board committee reports. Any board committee reports? The next scheduled meeting of the Oxbridge Building Committee will be next Thursday. Let me just get the date, which would be June 17th. That meeting was moved from this week, which helps with looking at bills and other programs, and also giving them time to kick off and present what the summer work is going to look like up there to get as much done over the course of the summer, and also to look at plans as to what the school and drive up in the parking situation will be as we go into the new school year. So that will be discussed at the next Oxbridge Building Committee meeting on June 17th. With that, we will move on to presentations and discussions, appointments. So we are excited to appoint the following. I'll do these appointments and then do the amendment.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, though. Perfect. I would like to have a motion to appoint Carrie Snowden as the Hindley School Principal. Mrs. Parent, second by Ms. Ritchie. All those in favor? That is unanimous.
Congratulations, Carrie. Yeah, I think you are on here. Do you want to say a word or two?
Sure, I would love to. I just want to say I'm so thrilled and honored to be appointed to this position. I cannot wait to join the Hindley community, and I just want to thank the board and the district for this terrific opportunity.
Thank you, Carrie. It was a pleasure, and thank you so much for spending time with the board. It was great meeting you and answering all our questions, and thank you for going through an intense process with the administration, and welcome to the Darien School community. We look forward to having you here.
Thank you.
Next, I would like to have a motion to appoint Ryan Betts as the Tokenique School Principal. Deb Ritchie, second by Ms. Parent. Mrs. Parent, all in favor? That is unanimous. Do I see Ryan on the phone?
Hi there.
Betts,
Good evening.
there you are. Good to see you. I'll turn it over to you.
No,
Dr.
congratulations, Ryan. It's good to see you, and congratulations on coming back to Darien again. And if you want to make a comment, there's
Sure.
lots of people on the Zoom tonight.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'd like to just say thank you to you, Dr. Adley, and thank you to the Darien Board of Ed for this appointment. I am so excited to work with the talented staff, supportive families, and amazing students at Tokenique Elementary School. And it sure does feel great coming back home to Darien, where I began my career 18 years ago. So thank you.
Well, Ryan, thank you. It is great to welcome you back to Darien. And again, thank you for the time and energy you put in going through the process and spending time with the board and answering all our questions. We're excited to have you join the Darien School family. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, both of you have a great evening. Thank you. I'd also now like to make a motion to amend the agenda to add the appointment of an assistant elementary principal. Do I have a motion to amend the agenda? Mr. Brown, second by Mrs. Achman. All those in favor? That is unanimous. I'd like to make a motion to appoint Annamarie Galgano as an assistant elementary school principal. Do I have a motion? Mr. Sini, second, Mr. Maroney. All those in favor? That is unanimous. We just spent some time with Annamarie going through the interview process. Welcome, Annamarie, to the Darien School community. Thank you also for taking the time to go through the process with our administration, meet folks in our schools and our communities, and spend time with the board. Welcome to the Darien School community. I'll give you a moment.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to meet with all of you this evening, and I appreciate your confidence in me, and I'm looking forward to supporting our schools and our children and our parents and creating the best environment that we can for our students and achieving the tradition that Darien is well known for. So thank you again to the board and to the interview committee. I'm really looking forward to this opportunity.
Terrific. Thank you. Welcome and have a good evening.
Thank you. You too.
Terrific. Moving along, another fun part of this time of year, we move into the Superintendents Award recipients. Dr. Adley.
Yes, good evening, everybody, and welcome to our recipients this evening and to their families who will be looking in at home. Do I have any special directions, Michelle, for the families this evening?
No, as you call them out, I will start their video.
Okay. So to the families who are joining us this evening, as your son or daughter is introduced, you will receive directions online to start your video, and then the board will be able to hopefully see the recipient right online. I will say this is obviously an annual recognition, and normally the students would be present. Hopefully this is the last year of this for certainly our retirees and our recipients, our student recipients. But that being said, it's actually also a first. While this has been done many, many years, this is the first Superintendent's Award that actually recognizes the attributes of the mission. So this is awarded to students in grades 5, 8, and 12 who best personify the attributes of the district mission, specifically a love of learning, as critical thinkers and innovative creators, and who contribute to the world with integrity and purpose beyond themselves. I had an opportunity today to meet with all of them except our seniors, because our seniors are out doing internships, hopefully. I'll get a chance to talk to them in person, but I did have a chance to stop by today, take some photographs, and talk to our students just in person about what the actual award means, and they were very impressive young people, I can tell you that, and I think you'll see that this evening. With that, we will go through the introductions of our young people, and we'll announce them, and then the principal will come on and share some remarks. The selection of this is nominated through their class and also selected by the staff and administration. So it's a tremendous honor and a few steps to actually go through to be actually selected to be the recipient. So with that, we'll go through. We'll start off with Henley. So Sean Benevito. John, are you online with your parents? That's Ryan, right? You right there?
He's right there.
Hi.
Oh, he's nice. It's nice. It's nice to see you. So, do you have his wee slide up for me, please? Hello, mom and dad. How are you? Hi. It's good to see you. So we have the principal here from Henley, Mrs. Droller, and Mrs. Droller is going to say a few words about your qualities and how you got the award. And we had a wee chat today, which was wonderful, to learn all about you. But we're going to do this publicly, so mom and dad can hear, and the board members can hear, and those people who are online can hear. Can we see as we photograph that we took today?
It's right up here.
Oh, it's right up there. Sorry, right there. So there he is today, and celebrating the recognition of the award. So sit back and enjoy some nice words from Mrs. Droller.
Hello, Sean. Welcome, everybody. Sean Benevento has a positive attitude and is friendly toward everyone. And I'm sorry, I can't turn on my video, but I am hoping that everybody can hear me.
We can hear you, and we have your picture in front of us. Thank you.
Okay. Sean demonstrates empathy by being an active listener who is genuinely curious about what others are experiencing. He takes the time to ask questions to better understand their perspective and feelings. Sean enjoys learning and is both creative and talented in the arts. In a speech he shared with the Henley staff members, he shared examples of things he does to embody the Henley Kids Code, such as going out of his way to make others feel included, being a positive influence, and participating in extracurricular activities, such as Spirit Years and before school theater rehearsals that bring joy to our community and our school. Sean is poised, articulate, and a role model at Henley. We are all so proud of him for being Henley's recipient of the Superintendent's Award this year. Congratulations, Sean and Mr. and Mrs. Benevento.
Congratulations, Sean, from the Board of Education also.
John, do you want to say something? You don't have to.
Thank you. I'm really happy, and it was amazing because the people I was up with too were such amazing people that I've grown up with throughout all my years of Hindley.
Well, for all of those reasons that you just said, that's why you've got the award, young man. So congratulations for you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on Zoom.
Thank you, Mom and
Take
Dad.
care.
So from Holmes, do we have the Neroy family? Arden. Hello, Mrs. Blakely, I see you there. Do we have Arden?
We do. Sorry, I'm just trying to start the video.
Okay. Good evening. Hi, Arden. It's nice to see you again. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
That's lovely to see you. You did a great job today.
Thank you.
So Mrs. Blakely is going to say a few words on and explain, as we did today, why you got the award.
Great.
You ready?
Okay, here we go. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you and see you. Thank you.
Great. Well, Arden Nero joined Holmes School at the start of last school year. In the short time that she has been at Holmes, she has gained the respect and admiration of her peers and teachers. Arden was selected for this award as she is someone who demonstrates a passion for learning, notable integrity, and a purpose beyond herself. Arden's love of learning is evident in the classroom every day. With every assignment or discussion, she constantly pushes herself to be the best version of who she can be. Arden readily engages in critical thinking and problem solving, both in the classroom and when with her peers. She is not afraid to think outside the box and often displayed this creativity and imagination in her assignments and the virtual projects that she worked on in 5th grade. Arden's character is of the highest quality. She is honest and genuine. Her strong moral principles always guide her to do the right thing and make the most caring and thoughtful decisions. Arden always goes out of her way to take care of others and to make the world a better place for everyone. In her own words, Arden expressed how she has changed over the past school year. She wrote, "At Holmes School, I have learned to focus on who you really are, and what matters most is on the inside. I also feel that I've learned about what it takes and means to be hardworking, to never give up. Even when life kicks you down, you just get back up and try again." Arden embodies the idea that kindness, hard work, honesty, believing in yourself, and taking care of others are critical to being a good person. It is for these reasons that her peers and her teachers selected her for this honor. Congratulations, Arden and Mr. and Mrs. Nero. We're so proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job, honey.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Arden, from the Board of Education also.
Thank you.
Arden, would you like to say anything?
Sure. I don't know. I feel that I'm just really happy that my teachers and my classmates thought that I was good for this award, and I feel that that this is just super exciting. And thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Great.
Congratulations to you again, Arden.
Thank you.
Enjoy your summer. Thank you.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.
So we're Oxridge is our next school. Dr. Forshaw, and we introduce Anika Ponaparade. Hopefully I've got that last name correctly. You can correct me if I have not. But Anika, it was lovely meeting you today. Are you here? Yes, I think we see you up there. Hi, Mom and Dad.
Hi.
Hi, Anika. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
It's lovely to see you again. Good job today. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Dr. Forshaw, you ready?
I am. It's my pleasure. Congratulations to Anika for being selected as this year's Superintendent Award recipient for Oxford School. Anika was assuredly selected by her peers, our faculty and staff for consistently exhibiting the qualities of creative thinking, a true love of learning, and most importantly, character and kindness. Anika is thoroughly respected by her classmates and teachers. She's known to be a great collaborator with her classmates and a consistent help to all. Annika started her educational experience in kindergarten in Oxbridge, and she's described it as her second home. In her remarks to her faculty and staff, she took time to specifically name the teachers, staff members who helped her achieve, push her to grow, and feel confident in her ability to continue to take risks and learn. Annika is a truly well-rounded young woman. She's an avid reader, writer, and she even has a burgeoning painting collection underway. Annika also excels in athletics. She's a member of a competitive swim team and is a skiing enthusiast with her family. In addition to these academic and athletic accomplishments, Annika also might soon be a contestant on the Food Network in one of their successful cooking and baking shows. She's got quite an emerging specialization, I learned, in homemade pizza, which we look forward to trying maybe one day. Annika also described her personal philosophy as, and I quote directly from Annika, she's determined to always be a good person and do whatever she can to help everyone and make them feel happy. Our entire school community recognizes how special these values are and absolutely credit her loving parents, Namita and Satish, in cultivating her beautiful outlook on life. Thank you for the opportunity to recognize Annika this evening. She now joins the proud lineage of previous Superintendent Award recipients and will no doubt continue to offer her gifts to the middle school and beyond. Congratulations, Annika, and to your family.
Congratulations, Annika.
Thank you.
Congratulations from the Board of Ed. Annika, anything you'd like to say?
I just want to thank everyone for this, and I'm really proud that I was able to receive this award because of my peers and all the staff.
Oh, congratulations. That's very nice of you, Annika. Congratulations again. Bye-bye. Night-night.
Have a good evening and
Bye,
a
Mom
great
and Dad.
summer.
Dr. Mullen will be here to introduce and share some comments on our royal recipient, Ryan McCall. Is Ryan here? Ryan, are you there?
Yes, we're
Mom and
here.
Dad?
We just can't start the video for some reason, but we're here.
See the video icon there?
Yeah, it says the host has stopped it. Oops.
You got it, Michelle?
I will try one more time.
Okay.
Can you try again, please?
Sure.
It's not working.
Hold on, we're
Oh, here, it's on mine.
okay. We got different computer.
Oh, there you are.
Hey.
Hi.
Perfect.
Good evening, everybody. Nice to see you, Ryan. Good night. Nice to see you. So, Dr. Mullen, are you ready to share some glowing comments for Ryan?
I am, of course. Hi, Ryan. Hi, McCalls. So I'm so pleased to share some remarks about Ryan tonight. Ryan is truly deserving of this award as she exemplifies all the attributes in the Darien District mission. Ryan is, by every account, a true learner. She loves learning. She's curious and inquisitive. She motivates herself to go beyond the curriculum to dive deeper, and she really constantly seeks a challenge. More importantly, though, Ryan is a kind, genuine person, always looking out for her friends, consistently being a role model for both our other fifth grade students and our entire Royal community, including the peanuts in the hallway, much smaller than her. Every morning, she greets every adult she sees with a good morning, a have a good day, and she asks how you are. Every afternoon, she makes a point to say goodbye, wishes you a good afternoon. She's the kind of kid that does the right thing, no matter who's looking or not looking. She simply does the right thing because that's who she is, and that's the stuff she's made of. So you might think that Ryan isn't the kind of student that ever steps out of line or surprises you in that kind of way, but that isn't true, because perhaps my favorite Ryan moment is from just a week ago at our fifth grade field day. The teachers and staff were running the games along with me and with our over 80 fifth graders. We were constantly on. And at one point from the capture the flag field, I heard a whistle blowing, and I assume it's the PE teacher. Lo and behold, it's Ryan wearing her own whistle that she had brought, keeping everyone in line. She saw me looking over, she smiled, she gave me a little shrug, and she just carried on. And I have to admit, I think her classmates listened more to her that day than they did to us. So just to close, Ryan's teacher, Miss Romanello, shared the following remarks about Ryan too. She said, "Ryan, I'm so incredibly proud of you for being an outstanding citizen and role model for everyone in our class, as well as the Royal community. This honor is most certainly deserved. And I know that Ryan will continue to demonstrate these qualities as she navigates through her future endeavors. Ryan, we are so proud of you. We're so proud that you're representing the Royal community and receiving this award. We really just cannot wait to see what you do next. Congratulations."
Congratulations, Ryan.
Thank you.
Ryan, congratulations from the whole Board of Ed also. Anything you'd like to add?
Thank you so much just for like everything. That I'm so proud that I could like get this award. And yeah, I'm honored. Thank you.
Great job. You're well deserved. Thank you, Mom and Dad. Thank you. Have a good night.
Have a great summer.
Mrs. Michelson is here, and I'm sure it's a sort of sad, sweet moment in some ways. So this is another last for her to introduce the recipient from Tokenique this evening. Chloe Moore. Is Chloe here? I'm sorry that I disrupted your lunch today, Chloe, but thank you. You there? We see you.
I'm here.
Oh, Mom and Dad, Chloe, nice to see you again. Mrs. Michelson, do you want to lead us off, please?
So Chloe, Tokenique School is so proud to introduce our Superintendents Award recipient, Chloe Moore. She is the best example of someone who is happy, responsible, respectful, and kind. Chloe is the youngest child in her family. Besides her wonderful mom, Corinne, and dad, Michael, she has two sisters, Taylor and Molly. She is also here tonight through technology with her teacher, Mrs. Thomas, and many of the Tokenique community. We are also proud of her, so we're all here to share in this event. Upon meeting Chloe, you will immediately notice her smile on her face and the sparkle in her eyes. She is a genuine, thoughtful, and dedicated young lady who goes out of her way to do her best while encouraging others to do the same. She is always excited to take on academic challenges and approaches each day with a positive attitude and an open mind. Chloe wrote that at Tokenique, she has learned to listen to others and to think of their perspective and to think about how they would feel before adding her thoughts. This has led her to be more successful in opening up to others, being kind to others, making lots of kind friends, and loving Tokenique School as Tokenique loves her. She is an essential member of our classroom and school community, the embodiment of the Tokenique Code, and a friend to all. Please join me in congratulating Chloe, her mom and dad, and her sisters. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations from the entire Board of Ed also. Anything you'd like to add?
Sure. I feel that I'm very lucky to be a part of Tokenique School, and that was very nice. And it was very like unexpected. So thank you.
Good for you, Chloe. It was lovely meeting today, and thank you to your mom and dad for being here this evening. Thank you very much.
Have a great summer.
Thank you. You too.
At the middle school, Middlesex, another sad moment for a principal, I think, another last from Mrs. Summers. Mrs. Summers, welcome this evening. Thank you for being here. And we would like to introduce Abby O'Kane. Is Abby and Mom and Dad online? Or yes, right there. We can see Abby. Mom and Dad, how are you? Thank you for being with us.
Good
Ms.
evening,
Summers, it's all yours.
Oh, thank you. Good evening, everyone, and good evening, Abby. This year's recipient from Middlesex for the Superintendents Award.
Summers, could you speak up just a little bit?
Sure.
Thank you so much.
This year's recipient for the Superintendent's Award is Abby O'Kane. Talking with Abby for even 1 minute, you'll feel like you have known her for your entire life. Her warmth, her smile, and her genuine interest in what you have to say makes her an immediate friend. This year it was difficult, Abby, to be selected by both peers and staff. As you know, our cohort model really limited the interactions you had, but you're a standout, and across all the cohorts, across all the teams, you were overwhelmingly selected for this recognition. Your even temperament, your kindness, and the way you face each day amazes both staff and students. And I do want to stress the kindness. I think at the beginning of every school year, I suggest to our students that that's the most important norm. And you embody that, Abby. When I asked Abby, well, how'd you get like this? She credited her parents, so kudos to you. And she said that's just what you do in your family. She says she wakes up every day thinking, how can I make this better? Not only for myself, but for everyone that I'm in contact with. Abby's teachers described her as a model student, focused at all times, ask great questions, and engage with everyone with whom you come in contact. You're a tremendous candidate for this award, Abby. I know that you will do great things in the high school. I know you're ready to go to the high school and accept any of those future challenges. Congratulations, and we're all really proud of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Summers.
Congratulations, Abby, from the entire Board of Ed. Is there anything you'd like to add this evening?
Thank you so much for this recognition. It really does mean a lot to me, and I'm very proud of myself, and I'm very lucky to go to Middlesex and have great teachers and peers. So thank you.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you. Have a great summer. Thank you.
It's nice to see you, Mom and Dad. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Congratulations. So, Mrs. Dunn, how are you?
Hi, thank you. I'm
Good
fine.
evening. And unfortunately, I was not able to meet our two seniors. There are two awards that two seniors are given this award. I look forward to tracking Thomas and Alicia Downs at some point along the next couple. But Thomas Osberg and Elise Wright Webb are our two deserving recipients. And Ellen, Mrs. Dunn is here. Are you here, actually, Thomas?
Yeah, we got you on here. Yes. Thank you so much for having me tonight.
Do you go by Thomas or Tom?
Thomas is great.
Well, congratulations to you, Thomas. I hope you were at your internship or doing your project, whatever. You can talk about that later. But congratulations to you, and I look forward to meeting you.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
Mrs. Dunn, it's all yours.
Okay. Hi, Thomas and Osberg. It's nice to see you.
Ellen, I'm going to ask you also to speak up a little bit if you can.
Okay.
So we can hear all the good information.
Yes. Thomas Osberg is a standout in the DHS community. His friendly and kind demeanor make him an approachable leader at Post 53, in Tutor Singers, and as a teammate on his squash and golf teams. He goes out of his way to make others feel a sense of belonging, and his easygoing nature, inviting smile, engaging energy, and compassionate spirit connect him to students and teachers alike. As president of the Post 53 program, Thomas acts as the key mentor to younger posties. He supports them as they cope with work-related stress and provides them with constructive feedback and direction. During the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, Thomas stepped up to take on more responsibilities and extra shifts despite the risks, while successfully leading members through uncharted territory. Thomas has mastered balancing academic responsibilities with a demanding extracurricular schedule. He seeks out different perspectives on issues, offers his ideas with confidence, and engages with peers to pursue understanding. Teachers share that Thomas is a frequent participant, offering authentic thinking that leads to deeper discourse and debate in their classrooms. His teachers place high value on his ability to collaborate with others and enhance the learning for all around him. Thomas has excelled in every arena and has done so with humility and grace. Thomas, you will be missed in the halls, in the classroom, on the stage, and on the court and golf courses of Darien High School. That's a little bit of an exaggeration, but that's okay. We haven't put a golf course there yet. Georgetown University has hit the jackpot, in my view. Congratulations. We are so proud of you and can't wait to see what lies ahead.
Congratulations, Thomas.
Thank you very much.
Thomas, congratulations from the whole Board of Ed also. Any comments you'd like to make?
Yeah, of course. Well, again, thank you so much for having me tonight. I'm definitely very humbled and honored to receive this award. Of course, I want to say thank you to all the teachers, the staff, my coaches, and of course the Board of Education for my whole experience in Darien Public Schools. It's been just awesome. So thank you to everybody, and of course my parents here beside me for everything over the years. So it's been awesome, and yeah, we'll definitely miss the public school system here in Darien. So thank you.
Thank you. We look forward to seeing you at graduation.
Thank you, Thomas. That was very classy remarks. Thank you.
Have a good evening.
I'd like to introduce Elise Wright Webb. I look forward to seeing you, Elise, along the way here somewhere. But Ellen, could you do the introductions? Elise, are you here? You are.
Yes.
I think we see you with Mom and Dad.
Yeah.
Hi, Elise.
Hi.
Congratulations.
Okay. I'm so delighted to introduce Elise to you. Elise Wright Webb is an incredibly compassionate, outgoing, intelligent, and mature young woman. She is a natural leader, both in and out of the classroom, and possesses a keen awareness of others that is rare among her peers. Elise is quick to respond when she recognizes a need and looks for opportunities to make a difference in the lives of others. When the community shut down during the pandemic, without hesitation, Elise began delivering masks, recording church services for broadcast, and supporting those facing challenges. Elise is committed to the DHS community as well as the broader Darien community and gives 100% to every endeavor with a smile that lights up the room. Her love for music and performance is evidence of her desire to bring joy to others, and her teachers describe her as someone who wants others to shine. Elise has also been a role model inside the classroom, and her diligence and desire to be challenged has driven her to pursue a rigorous academic experience at DHS. Her teachers recognize her enthusiasm for wrestling with academic content in order to develop a deep and enduring understanding. Extending her learning and drawing upon her coursework, Elise completed an independent study on the meaning of identity and created a personal memoir as an expression of this work. Elise has been recognized for this award by her school community because of who she is and who she is destined to become. We are so proud of you, Elise, and American University will surely be a better place because of your contributions. Congratulations to you and your whole family.
Thank you, Miss Dunn.
You're welcome, honey. You're welcome.
Congratulations, Elise, from the whole Board of Ed also for all that you've done, your accomplishments. Any comments?
Well, I just want to say thank you so much. It's truly an honor. And as Thomas said, a humbling experience. And I also want to thank all my teachers and mentors that have supported me throughout all years of Darien public school system. I went to Hindley. I came in second grade and everyone was just so warm and welcoming, and I felt that same way ever since. So thank you so much for honoring me and recognizing.
Congratulations. We look forward to seeing you at graduation.
Congratulations, Elise. I look forward to presenting you the award in the next couple of days. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just say that just one more round of applause for all our distinguished and remarkable kids.
Thank you all. Thank you all for zooming in. I know it's not easy, and I'm excited that Dr. Eiley has gotten out to see most of you, and I'll finish that over the next couple of days. But thank you again, and thanks to the parents for taking time this evening. So we'll move on to recognition of Darien Public School retirees. March Sion. Dr. Atlee.
Special welcome to our distinguished retirees this evening. We're delighted that you're able to be here. Very good evening to you. Traditionally, the Board of Education provides an opportunity for board members to celebrate the significant contributions of our faculty and staff and to personally recognize and thank retirees for their dedicated years of service and contributions to our children and our community. So tonight provides the board one wee last opportunity to do that. It's the second consecutive year that we've done this virtually, and hopefully we'll be able to do this in person next time. So I'm going to do a virtual thing for you here. Virtually tonight, you're receiving this small token of appreciation on behalf of the board. It's from Woodbury Pewter. Will be in the mail coming your way very soon, but that's a small token of appreciation on behalf of the Board of Education for all of your service. As the year winds down for many of you, surprisingly, maybe in the words of Muhammad Ali and Dr. Seuss respectfully, don't count the days, make them count. Don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. Collectively, over the years, you have seen generations of students and classes come and go. You've served on countless committees and participated in a variety of clubs and activities, athletics. You've lived through the building projects, outlived administrators, and probably just as many educational reform initiatives, educational acronyms. And who could have known it in your final year, even a global pandemic? And in the poem once shared, all that is not given is lost. You certainly have not lost anything as you have given your all. Thank you. In his book, Learning by Heart, Roland Barr suggests that most of us became educators because we wanted to use our hearts as well as our minds in order to promote young people's learning. Because we believe deeply that learning is one of the most noblest, most profound endeavors of the human experience. And because we're firmly committed to the value of learning in a democratic community. Our honorees tonight are representative of those beliefs. Shel Silverstein's children's book, The Given Tree, is my favorite children's book to read to students throughout the district. It talks about unconditional love and devotion between a tree and a small boy. You will also be receiving a copy of this simple story and simple recognition and appreciation of your unconditional love and dedication to Darien's children over all of these years. In closing, you may recall that at the fall convocation, we watched a small clip of the Apollo 13 mission. Thank you for coming along on this wild teaching journey to the moon and back, where failure for you, particularly this year, was never an option. To our retirees, as you leave us next week, I hope your hearts are warmed with appreciation from our parents, our students, our peers. And as you leave, may the road always rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warmly upon your faces. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Congratulations to all our retirees. So at this point, each building administrator is going to introduce and say a few congratulatory remarks on behalf of each of our retirees. If our retirees are here, we can see you on the screen if you would like to do that. Mrs. Dunn, you're first up. And it's, shall we good?
I can't start my video yet.
Are you guys doing this slide or?
Yes, we'll be doing the slides, Dr. Bradley.
Okay.
Okay.
Ms. Dunn, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
And can we move the first slide to Terry Conte?
Terry Conte.
Is Terry here? Don't know if Terry is with us or not. Ellen, I don't see her, but maybe you would just proceed, please.
Okay. Paraprofessional extraordinaire, instructional tutor, cheerleader for students, devoted family member, loving mother, and doting grandmother. Terry Conti, for over 20 years, you have dedicated your life to the success of every child in your care. Your work in the special education department supported our students beyond measure, and your compassionate, no-nonsense demeanor motivated students as you engaged with them as a true instructor and mentor. Your enthusiasm for your work and your belief in your students built their confidence, and you celebrated every one of their successes. You always took the time to discover their passions, and this allowed you to forge connections that served as a bridge to learning. Terry, you are a kind, compassionate person who has been a role model for our students at DHS. We have missed you at Darien High School, and you are thought of often with great fondness. We wish you every happiness in your retirement.
Anne Fernandez.
Anne, are you here?
Anne, are you here? I am not seeing Anne.
Okay, I should proceed, I guess.
Yes, please.
Master teacher of English, voice of reason, possessor of the driest wit this side of the Hudson, Westport refugee, ex-world traveling investment banker, esteemed author, poster of blogs, terse message writer, ellipsis aficionado, architect of innovative and high interest courses, connoisseur of French cuisine. Anne Fernandez, for 20 years, spanning 3 different schools, you have brought your love of language and of English prose into the lives of hundreds of students, guiding them so that when they read from the vantage of a practiced writer, and when they wrote, they brought a sharply trained reader's eye to the task. And you may be removing yourself up the coast to Mystic, but your brainy quips, deadpan humor, and diplomatic insights will long remain a presence at Darien High School. And your spirit of life for years to come will continue to animate those lucky enough to have worked alongside you and shared your classroom, even for what has seemed too brief a time. The love for learning you inspired is your legacy, and we are so fortunate to have shared this journey with you. We wish you every happiness in the years to come, Anne.
Kathy Gilbert. Yep, just go ahead, Ellen.
Okay. There's Kathy. Hi, Kathy. Beloved colleague, California traveler, devotee of student productions, community builder, courageous advocate for all, discerning listener, astute observer, loving mother, and devoted grandmother. Kathy Gilbert, you have dedicated your life, 44 years as a social worker, to supporting students and their families, and you have made DHS a better place for the last 13 years. Your kind and gracious persona creates positive school and community relationships, and your self-deprecating humor disarms and invites people into your care. With a fierce devotion to the well-being of your students, your razor-sharp insights recognized their pain and led to their healing. You have counseled with wisdom and compassion, and your direct, unfiltered advice has made the difference in the lives of countless students and families, and certainly one high school principal as well. Your outstanding commitment to our core program reflects your strong values and belief that all students can thrive when supported and challenged. You have seen the potential in each of your students and help them to reach it in every way within your power. You find goodness in people and help them to cultivate it. At the most difficult times in their lives, your love for your students has changed their trajectory and will forever be remembered. Your mentorship of peers will allow your wisdom to reach new generations of DHS students for years to come. Kathy, you are assured a special place in the history of Darien High School, and we wish you every happiness. Thank you.
Carol Hanks.
Carol Hanks. Hi, Carol. Dedicated teacher of English language learners, paraprofessional extraordinaire, voracious reader, lover of music, devoted mother of Andrew. Carol Hanks, for more than 30 years, you have dedicated your life to education. With open arms and a gentle spirit, you have embraced students arriving at DHS from around the world and cleared the obstacles a language barrier placed before them. You were their interpreter, advocate, and trusted mentor, and you provided a soft, safe place to land in B216 as they navigated new waters, making DHS and Darien their new home. You also worked alongside teachers of reading at DHS and created an environment in which students learned skills upon which to build a future. Your belief that all students can thrive with appropriate and individualized support shone through and has helped countless DHS students over generations to graduate with confidence. You have already been missed at DHS, and we wish you every happiness. Thank you, Carol.
Thank you so much, Ellen.
Lou Russo.
Okay. Master teacher of algebra and geometry, provider of appetizers, ballroom dancer, keeper of whiteboard markers, concert devotee, college professor, passionate educator, and devoted father of 2 sons. Lou Russo, for 16 years in the new Fairfield schools and 3 years at Darien High School, you have shared your love of mathematics with generations of students. Your devotion to your students was rewarded in their fondness for you and their appreciation for your generosity of spirit and kindness to them. Spending the last few years of your career with us at DHS, you generously shared your wisdom with those new to the profession and became an integral part of your department in the blink of an eye. You set standards of excellence for yourself and your students, and your confidence in their abilities fueled their success. We wish you continued success in your work with students at Housatonic Community College and joy in your retirement, having made a difference in the lives of so many students over the course of a storied career. Congratulations, Lou.
Bob Sorensen.
Bob, are you here? Master teacher of art, avid gardener, playful prankster, observer of nature, free spirit, master rider of trains, New York Giants devotee, watcher of birds, and devoted husband and father. Bob Sorensen, for 28 years, you have observed the world alongside your students and have taught them to see it through a new lens. An innovator in art education, you have inspired students to take risks, challenge themselves, and to believe in their artistry. You have guided their self-discovery, encouraging them to reach into their hearts to express themselves in their creations. Your classroom has been a place where learning is joyful and each individual is celebrated. Your legacy will be found in the lives you have changed because you have instilled a lifelong curiosity and appreciation for all that is beautiful in our world. Your kind heart and compassionate presence in our building has been missed by students and peers alike. We wish you good health and great happiness in your retirement, and we hope you will honor us by continuing to share your art for years to come. Thank you, Bob.
Lucy Canberry.
Dedicated employee, friend to all, willing teacher and mentor, Lucy Canberry, for 21 years, you have been a part of our school cafeteria staff at Homeschool, Middlesex Middle School, and over this last most challenging year, Darien High School. In the lives of our students, entering the cafeteria means a break in the frenzy of the school day, and you contributed to their well-being with a smile and a kind word. You have been a tremendous asset to our food services department, eagerly and quickly learning to operate ever-changing equipment. You have always been willing to share what you have learned with the rest of the team. Your friendly and generous demeanor will be missed by your colleagues and the students across the whole school system. On behalf of Holmes, Middlesex, and DHS, we hope you will enjoy your retirement with family and friends and take with you our sincere thanks for a job well done. Thank you, Lucy.
Thank you, Mrs. Dunn. Much appreciated. Mike, Mr. Lynch, you are here. You're in person here, so you can go ahead with your introduction.
Okay, Pete Caporal. He was the night head custodian, Darien High School. Pete graduated from Broughton High School, Raleigh, North Carolina, and after serving in the Army, including 2 years overseas, he came north and settled in the Bronx before making his way up to Darien, where he currently lives. Pete spent many years in the restaurant business as a bartender, a maitre d', and a head chef, and he also owned the Route 1 Exxon in Stamford. He also owned his own commercial cleaning business for 10 years before deciding to relax a little, and he was hired as an hourly temporary custodian in August of 2001. Recognizing his talent, the school district hired him in January of 2002 as a full-time custodian at the high school. And in 2011, he became the night head custodian, position he held till he retired this February. As the night head custodian, Pete took great pride in presenting the high school in the best possible light for all the nighttime and weekend activities that he took charge of. He'll be remembered as being organized, hardworking, took pride in his knowledge of building maintenance, which he was quick to share with his coworkers. We thank him for his service and wish him well in retirement.
Mrs. Summers and Sewell Harrison.
Hi, Sewell. Long before our district began to reimagine the Media Center, you had a vision, and that was to help every student feel passionate about reading. To this end, I think you have read every single young adult book ever written, and then some. You've given scores of book talks. You've guided Middlesex students in selecting just that perfect title. I've watched as you led them through the stacks and looked at this one and looked at that one, and always ended up coming up with something for everyone that entered. You've become an expert at keeping Chromebooks alive, not an easy feat. Sometimes I would look at those piles of them and my heart would just break for you. And you've helped countless students troubleshoot their technology issues. I'm impressed daily with your courage, Sewell, and your determination. I wish you safe travels in your retirement, and you've made the Media Center such a pleasant place to be. Thank you for the years you spent at MMS, and I know our staff joins me in saying that you will surely be missed.
Brian McArdle.
Brian here? Yeah, there he is. Hi, Brian. Brian, you are a dedicated special educator, driven by your love for kids. In your resource room, you connected with students so that you could determine the strategies that would advance their learning. Your willingness to collaborate and your sense of humor at all times made you an integral part of your grade level team. I know the staff would join me in saying we are going to miss seeing you in the hallways. We are going to miss hearing you work with your students, encouraging them every step of the way. Congratulations and enjoy, because I know that you will.
Thank you. Thank you, Shelley.
Paula Napolitano.
Let's see, Paula here. Hi, Paula. It's so wonderful to see you. I've missed you. I've missed watching you walk your laps around the building every single day, but I hope that you are still doing that with grandchildren in tow. While you were a special education teacher at Middlesex, you completely mastered the art of co-teaching, not an easy feat. It came as naturally to you as breathing, basically. You were able to assess student understanding and to individualize instruction for every single kid, not just kids who were assigned to you, but for any kid who reached out or who were afraid to reach out and you reached out to them. You did it all, large group, small group, resource room, one-on-one instruction. You held the bar high, but there was not a single moment where you weren't compassionate and empathetic to everyone's social and emotional needs, including your colleagues. You had a positive impact on so many students over the years, and I just really miss you, and I really miss working with you on PPTs because there was never a moment when you didn't have a wonderful insight to share with parents. We thank you for that, and we miss you.
Thank you, Shelley, and congratulations to you.
Yeah, fellow retirees.
Tom McDonald.
He's here somewhere. Okay, I'll go anyway. Hi, Tom. I hope that you're here. I did see your name before, and I hope everything is going well for you and your family. You took such joy in bringing music to your students and to our school. At the beginning of every school year, I would listen to that chorus and think, how are they ever going to be ready for the concert in the winter? And every year, you and your students knocked it out of the park. You were an inspiration to them and to all of us. Your collegiality and collaboration with the other people in your department made music at Middlesex just a living thing. I miss you, and I miss all that you bring to our students, and I hope you are enjoying your retirement and that all is well with you.
Hi, I'm actually here. Can you hear me?
I can hear
Hi.
you.
Sorry, the camera's not working. First of all, let me say, I want to extend a special thank you to Shelley for her compassionate understanding in all of our dealings with our daughter's medical condition. Thank you so much for that. I also want to say how privileged I am to have worked in any school system that would honor a young man like Thomas Osberg, who I had as both a student and an athlete, and is one of the finest young men I've ever known. But especially, I was never planning on being a teacher. In high school and college, I expected fully to be on the PGA Tour. But as has been said, I didn't end up where I planned on being, but I ended up where I needed to be. And what a pleasure and a privilege to have landed in Darien, a community that values education and whose kids came to school ready and willing to learn every single day. I really cannot thank the administrators and the fellow teachers I had, but especially the students that I've known, all 10,000 of them or so over 41 years. Thank you to the town of Darien.
Thank you, Tom. Mrs. Stroller?
Yeah, I am here. Hi, Laura.
And Laura Coupe.
I don't see you, but I hope that you are watching. When I started at Henley, Laura was the first teacher that I interacted with, and I have to say, she would stop by my office every day before she left, which was pretty late, and she would share her love of family, her puppy. We would talk about books and theater. So Laura has a very special place in my heart. Laura Coupe is an educator for whom teaching is not a job, it's a profession. In her 20 years in Darien at Oxbridge and Henley, she was always seeking to learn and grow, eager to attend workshops, observe colleagues or experts, read professional texts. Laura was relentless about finding ways to meet each student's needs and flexible about designing instruction around their unique interests. Nothing made her happier than the smile on a child's face when a light bulb went off and they got it. She delighted in finding books that motivated kids to want to read, and she spent countless hours and dollars filling her classroom library with all kinds of books to appeal to all kinds of learners. Laura was the biggest champion and cheerleader of kids. She modeled empathy and kindness in her interactions with adults and with students, and emphasized social emotional learning as much as academics. All of us at Hindley wish Laura the very best on this next part of her journey, but she leaves a big void in our school community, and she will be missed.
Mrs. Blakely. And Dana Isaacs.
Hi there. I'm very happy to share some words about Dana Isaacs. Dana, I know that you're on, so I'm happy to have you here with us tonight. Dana Isaacs began her working life as an actress in New York City, and then as a gift and accessory buyer for ABC Carpet and Home. After spending several years flying around the world, searching for funky accessories and the perfect gifts, Dana directed her outgoing personality and fun-loving spirit toward helping others and landed in Connecticut as a certified speech and language pathologist. Dana's first job as a speech therapist was in her hometown of Wilton. However, after several years, Dana chose to leave Wilton and establish herself in the Darien Public Schools, where she remained for the rest of her career. While in Darien, Dana supported students at Darien High School, Middlesex Middle School, and Holmes Elementary School. While at the elementary level, Dana settled into working with elementary age students and truly found her happy place. It was obvious to anyone who interacted with her that Dana knew all of her students' stories, their histories, their likes and dislikes, and their favorite games. She bonded with them over small stuffed animals and stories of her daughter Chloe and her beloved cat, Chucklehead. In the hallways and in therapy sessions, Dana always knew when to provide a little extra TLC or when to offer a heartfelt congratulations. Her connections with students set a tone within her therapy room that sent the message to each and every child that they mattered and that they were cared for. From this strong connection, Dana was able to gently but firmly move each of her students forward in their learning. Philosophically, Dana believes in empowering students and bringing skills-based learning alive. From having children advocate for issues that were important to them, to encouraging them to invent their own games or ways to remember how to articulate certain sounds or words, Dana put students in charge and made learning meaningful and fun. There were countless times when she would show up at my office with a student in tow. She would knock on my door and then, in her most mischievous stage voice, prompt the child to greet me and then to use his or her newly acquired expressive language skills to ask for what they wanted. I'm both embarrassed and proud to say that I sometimes found myself agreeing to such things as bottle flipping contests for an entire grade and homemade first aid kits, all in the name of speech and language. All joking aside, Dana was also very close to our staff and was someone we could always rely on. Whether she was offering advice about which speech test to use, supporting a teacher in working with a child, or cheering up a colleague who was stressed about finishing up a report, Dana was always there to make us laugh and feel better. Although she is no fan of puns, she certainly wore her sense of humor on her sleeve and always looked at the bright side of a situation. Unless, we quickly learned, someone got the good chair at the PPT table. Dana, we are confident that your next chapter will be filled with the same passion, enthusiasm, and free-spirited happiness that you have shared with all of your students and with us. We hope that throughout your new life in Arizona, closer to your daughter Chloe, and with your beloved husband Bill and your dear Chucklehead, that you will always be able to sit in the good chair at the table and reflect on the enormous difference that you have made in the lives of the many children and staff that you have helped here in Darien. On behalf of Darien High School, Middlesex Middle School, and homeschool. Congratulations and best wishes on your retirement.
Dr. Forshaw, your leadoff hitter is Michael Lamphere.
Congratulations to Mike Lamphere. Mike's been the head custodian at Oxbridge for over a decade, and he's been a consistently friendly, helpful, collaborative member of our school community. As head custodian, he led a team of excellent custodial staff by example. He's always ready to help staff, students, family, and has effectively maintained our school facility over his years of service. In addition to his quality custodial efforts, Mike has been a source of friendship and humor to everybody. He's been a consistently happy and engaged member of our school community, and I trust he'll continue to provide friendship and joy to his family and friends as he transitions to Nashville this summer. Congratulations, Mike.
Judy Lasco.
Judy, congratulations, Judy Lasco, for her years of service as our cafeteria manager. Judy's been a source of comfort and nutritional support for our entire school community. Judy's been a caring and committed member of our cafeteria for years. She's made it her mission to make sure no student or faculty member goes hungry and that we're all cared for during our lunch shifts. Whether cooking and serving her delicious lunch options for kindergartners through staff, Judy's also been quick with the joke and a consummate professional in her service. Congratulations also to Judy for her consistently high health inspections over the years. I know she's taken great pride in that, as she should, and for her leadership of her team. I know how much time, care, and leadership effort she's put into this regular achievement. And I know that her humor and care for all will be missed as she transitions to her next chapter with family and friends in Stanford. Congratulations, Judy.
Mary Light.
Mary, I wish I could save this one for last, but Mary, I think you're on the call too. Congratulations to our main office secretary, Mary Land, her retirement. Mary has been my right hand for the years at Oxford. We've been together. I'll miss her dearly. And Mary is a smiling, kind, caring face of our school community. She'll be deeply missed as she transitions to her next chapter. Mary's been a consummate professional. She's attending to the variety of needs of our faculty and families and staff over her years of excellent service. She knows all of our children, all of their families, and is quick to offer support and guidance to everyone. She is the go-to person at Oxford School. Her depth of knowledge regarding our school community and of the varied systems that power our school, everything from transportation to grade level leadership to ordering to how to get a custodian, it's just truly outstanding, the depth of her knowledge. She always has a can-do attitude and is an exceptional collaborator. She's been instrumental in helping to lead our ever-changing school community, whether that be onboarding new faculty and staff, helping families integrate and connect and acclimate to our Oxford school community. Mary, she's done it all. I know Mary will have much to spending time with her granddaughter and family here in Darien and family elsewhere, and enjoying some of the Florida heat to come. Congratulations, Mary.
Kathy McGilligan.
Great picture. So congratulations, it's very much Kathy. There it is. So congratulations to Kathy McGilligan on years of service as a first and second grade teacher at Oxbridge. Kathy's classroom has been one of care, kindness for all students. She spent years curating a classroom environment where students consistently feel safe, supported, and free to take important intellectual risks with her guidance. Kathy has never shied away from collaboration with her colleagues. She's been an ally and support to her grade level companions and an effective advocate and team member to her partners in special education. Kathy's brought smiles to the faces of hundreds of our youngest, most eager students over the years. She's been open with them and sharing her own passion for animals, nature, and technology through modeling her inquisitive nature over the years in her classroom. I congratulate Kathy on her successful years of teaching at Oxbridge, and I know she looks forward to finding some downtime and planning the next steps with her family and various animal companions to come. Congratulations, Kathy.
Thank you so much.
And Christine. Oh, thank you, Dr. Ali. Sorry. So Christine Newkirk retired last school season, so I'm very glad to have the chance to recognize her efforts over her years of teaching at Oxbridge. Christine taught third grade at Oxbridge, and her classroom was characterized by creativity, intellectual curiosity, and a deep understanding of her students and their varied needs. In addition to her quality teaching, Christine led the charge in creating special projects for her grade level team over the years. Christine would regularly organize efforts to educate our students beyond the already rigorous curriculum, to invite kids to learn about world culture, the arts, and the connection between our community and those across the globe. Christine now is enjoying time with her family and has extensive travel plans, which I'm certain will be back on track as we all move forward positively across the globe. And so I'm happy for her extensive travel can continue. So I ask you to join me in congratulating Christine for her retirement last year and for her years of successful service to the students and families of Oxford School. Congratulations, Christine.
Thank you, Dr. Forshaw. Dr. Mullen.
Hi, Pat, are you here? I think I saw your name. Pat VC has been a member of the Darien School community for over 20 years. She splits her time as an aide between the Royal and Oxbridge libraries, helping our students explore the wonderful world of books and stories. As our library media specialist right-hand woman, you've brought a friendly smile, warm welcome, and eager helping hand to all students and teachers who have passed through those library doors. Pat is leaving us to spend more quality time with her grandchildren, and I am guessing will not miss the stack of broken Chromebooks one bit. Thank you for all that you've done for our schools and our students. Dr. Forshaw joins me along with the entire Royal family and Oxbridge School community in wishing you the very best of luck and lots of fun in your retirement.
From Tokenique, I'm Mary Michelson. Comment on Rose Kalachko.
Good evening again. So what can I say about our Rosie? She has been a member of the Darien Public School community for over 25 years. Rosie began her career in the kitchen at Tokenique School, was moved to Holmes for just a few years, and then Don Fiftel, the superintendent at that time, said, Rosie has to go back home to Tokenique, and we welcomed her back with open arms. Rosie is loved by all of our children, families, and staff, and she has loved her position as the kitchen manager. Rosie is famous for cooking up her famous pasta with broccoli for all the Pumpkin Carnival volunteers, making her special pasta fagioli, and always asking if we need something special for lunch. She truly brings joy and laughter to our kitchen, cafeteria, and school. Here are a few things that the children said about Rosie. Rosie cooks with love. She knows everyone's name, including mine. And she loves to call families at 6 a.m. to remind them to pay their debts. Not only has Rosie worked for 25 years, she never misses a day of work. That's 4,500 days without an absence. I'm sure the Board of Ed would appreciate that. We will miss Rosie so much. She is truly the mother of Tokenique. Congratulations.
I will attest to those many phone calls, Mary, at 6 a.m. in the morning from Rosie on funding the account.
Ms. Thompson is here from our music department, and Ruth Latera.
Hello, it is my pleasure to speak about Ruth Latera, elementary music teacher. While I've only had the opportunity to work with Ruth for 1 year, her colleagues have shared many great memories they have of her. Ruth has been teaching elementary vocal music for 43 years, first in Indiana, where she was named Outstanding Indiana Elementary Music Educator in 2001, then in Darien, where she's worked in all 5 elementary schools. Ruth has been active in professional organizations and in elementary choirs throughout her career. Outside of school, Ruth is active in her church, Norotan Presbyterian, as an organist and choir member. Ruth has been extremely involved with community theater, having performed on stage, backstage, or as a director in over 30 shows, and has even appeared on television and film. In trying to get to know more about Ruth, I spoke with colleagues who have worked with her over the years. They couldn't say enough about her kind and caring nature. Ruth loves those around her deeply and is always willing to lend a listening ear to friends and colleagues. She has a great sense of humor and also a great sense of school spirit. and always got involved in school events, whether it was Crown and Tiara Day at Tokenique or dressing up as Mrs. Claus for the Henley PTA fundraiser. We wish Ruth nothing but the best in her retirement, spending time with family and friends, and having more time to enjoy her love of theater. Congratulations, and thank you, Ruth, for your many years of service to Darien Public Schools.
So I have the privilege and honor to share a few comments about Shelley Summers and Mary Michelson, who are leaving us this evening. Thank you for being on the screen, Shelley. I appreciate that. Normally, when I have a meeting with Shelley, she doesn't come on the screen. She ignores me on the screen. But thank you for being here tonight, Shelley. Thank you. Much appreciated. These are two very, very special people, two happy people, not because they're leaving, but generally that is their disposition of very happy people who I will miss deeply after 2 years. And I want to thank them for their counsel and support for these particular 2 years as they've supported me and the students in Darien during this pandemic. At a time whenever they're ready to step down, they stepped up, as many of our staff have done this past 17 months. Shelley joined Darien Public Schools in 2016 after spending 6 years as the principal of Central Middle School in Greenwich. She saw the light of her ways and came here, at which time she was awarded the 2015 Middle School Principal of the Year Award. As Middlesex principal, Shelley's primary focus during her tenure was improving the social and emotional supports available to all our students in her building. This took place as she advocated for additional counselling staff and building the MMS advisory program. Throughout our period of school closure, Shelley spoke passionately in favor of bringing all students back to school to start the school year for their social and emotional well-being. Actually, when the board did a recent visit over there, you would have seen one of the special things she did in the middle of the night, so to speak, or early in the morning. Over the weekend, she came in to chalk out and map out and paint a physical exercise challenge for the kids, just to be so that they could actually get outside. She brought her, or I think her family with her to help her on that particular weekend. During the past 17 months or so of this pandemic, Shelley has risen to all the complexities of running a huge middle school, and always with a can do and will do attitude. I will say that Shelley, I find, is most in her element when she's with her students. No one is more of a cheerleader and an advocate for children than Shelley. Shelley has lovingly and devotionally shepherded our children during their most impressionable ages. Those of you who have seen Shelley and know Shelley in her presence know of her hallmark as wearing her kids, her shoes. And somehow they always match beautifully her outfit for the day. You may not know that Kids champions ladies to be who they want to be and go where they want to go. It appears as though Shelley is listening to her shoes. As this chapter of her life draws to a close, we wish Shelley, and I certainly on a personal level wish Shelley much health and happiness as she spends time with her daughters, her grandchildren, family, and friends. Congratulations, Shelley, and thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Adley. I'd just like to take the opportunity to thank the board for allowing me to lead Middlesex for these past years. And I just would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to some of my cabinet friends, Marge and Shirley and Scott. And thank you so much for your support and your belief in me, but mostly for your friendship. And I will miss you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shelley. Thank you. Mary, where are you? You there, Mary? Yes? Oh, she's up top. Okay.
Yep, I'm here.
Mary joined us 15 years ago as an assistant principal of Royal Elementary School after spending 11 years of teaching at East Elementary School in New Canaan. In 2011, Mary began her tenure as principal of Tokenique Elementary School. Mary's motto at Tokenique is "Together we can make a difference." And Mary spent her years at Tokenique living by that motto. Mary partnered with the Darien High School to create a mural for the Tokenique Common Room that highlights nature inside and out. Additionally, Mary has worked to honor former employees in the school. including planting trees in honor of Mary Lee Fisher and Roger Clare, and of course, finishing the school's totem pole, which honored former Tokenique principal Ralph Parashona. Mary models the importance of honoring the past while working together for a great future. When you talk about Mary, I find it hard to talk about Mary without talking about Kathy, as they are a special team who together exhibit daily passion, devotion, and care for their children and staff, what they call the Tokenique family, which is probably best reflected in the Tokenique Carnival in the fall. As a senior member of the administration team, I have valued Mary's insight and wisdom over the past 2 years. We know that Mary is being honored in many ways in her final days, a true testament that her legacy of caring for others will live on. We wish Mary much happiness as she begins a new adventure, one filled with grandchildren, family, and the natural beauty of the hills and countryside of New Hampshire. Mary, thank you and congratulations to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Alan. Thank you to the Board of Education and everybody at Central Services. Ditto what Shelley said to Marge and Shirley and the whole team at Central Services. It's been an honor and a privilege to work in Darien. I'm leaving part of my heart right there at Tokenique with everybody there. But thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to grow with the children in Darien.
Thank you to Mary, Shelley, and all our retirees this evening. Thank you.
Just on behalf of the board, I couldn't say it any better than the principals and Dr. Adley himself, but thank you. Thank you for all that you've done over the years for our students. Thank you for all that you've done over an incredibly challenging year. Your passion and your love for our students shows through every day. So thank you for all that you've done, and all the best health and happiness, sunshine in your retirement years. Thank you. Moving on. Update on American Rescue Act expenditures and discussion on in-person instruction and continuity of service plans. Dr. Adley.
Yes, so I just changed from just the version of this. There's still a wee bit of a metric update because it sort of rolls. It's attached to next year, but it's sort of, we're in the phase of planning for next year right away. I'll just share the update here. I haven't seen this in a long time. And essentially we have no cases to report during the period of 28th through June 2nd. I didn't do the 2 pages of this because we're winding down. You can see we're down to 176 remote learners at this particular point. So I just want to really focus on this page and then the American Rescue Act grant, because they're both very much connected. So for the American Rescue Act grant, we have to submit an in-person instructional and continuity of services plan, a reopening plan, if you want to call it that. You don't have to call it this, but that's what the state of Connecticut is suggesting. In order to qualify for the grant funds, you certainly have to submit, and you have to sort of hit on these particular points along the way. I will say that number 3, if someone happens to look at the plan, you'll see that it is called public comment. What they talk about is stakeholder feedback, and public comment to us and to others means a specific thing. They're really talking about stakeholder feedback, so you'll see that is what we have called that. So essentially, I have shared with the board this plan under these categories is we're not having what we had last year, that thick companion of the return to school project that we had, and also publicizing the nature of what we did. This is going to be very cut to the chase, very specific, and just addresses some of these particular areas, in particular health and safety strategies. So I think Alicia is on here. We've met with our medical advisors again. As I have shared with you, our intent is to go back through all of these 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to go back to school in a normal situation as we possibly can. So when we talk about health and safety strategies, obviously we're talking about physical distancing. We're talking about mask wearing. We're talking about lunches and those types of things. What are we doing under those scenarios? So for mask wearing at this point, I would have to say that we are required at this point, as of this morning, with the Connecticut State Department of Public Health and the Connecticut State Department of Education, they're requiring at this point for the fall mask wearing. So that is something that we would have to do. We, under guidance of the health advisors and ourselves, we will do 3 feet where it is possible to do 3 feet. And that does not include creating additional sections. So this will be sort of, at this point, that we're not creating those additional sections. It'll be 3 feet where we can actually meet the 3 feet. We will have to do at this point, it looks like there will have to be still to do contact tracing. That will, at this point, looks like that will still be a requirement to be made. So we will still have to put strategies in place to actually do that. I will touch upon a couple of things if you want to talk about any particular aspect of it, maybe just at each of the categories that you may recall some aspect of that you would like to talk about. Those are the main things of health and safety for the summer programs. They do require the space and they do require the mask wearing. That was reiterated today. But for the start of the school year, those are some of the things we're doing under health and safety. If you've got a particular question about that, would you like me to pause or would you like me to continue?
We'll pause on health and safety strategies. Mrs. Ritchie.
So as of now, it sounds like contact tracing will remain in place. So do we anticipate then there will be a requirement to quarantine if someone tests positive, whether or not they're vaccinated?
Oh, if you're vaccinated, you do not have to quarantine. You will not have to quarantine if you're vaccinated. In fact, that would be a message that I would hope our public would hear loud and clear, that the more people that we have vaccinated, the less likelihood you have.
So if you test positive, you will be able to stay in school.
If you've been vaccinated, you're not going to be quarantined at all.
Okay, so you quarantined, you test positive, you're letting that person go into school.
No. If you vaccinated and you have symptoms and you test positive, then you have COVID and you will have to isolate, and then your contacts would have to quarantine. But if you are a close contact of somebody who tests positive for COVID and you are asymptomatic, you do not have to quarantine.
Okay. That sounds right. And then, so that being the case, if we are going to still quarantine, are we anticipating having to offer some sort of remote learning option for people who are in quarantine?
So I'll roll that into 1 and 2. I'll just answer it right now. Remote learning is not an option. Will not be an option next year for parents, except if we have to quarantine. If you have to quarantine, then we'll have to provide that option, and hopefully it's very few people.
Mrs. Ackman.
I think I have 2 quick ones. So will we still need to have in place a COVID compliance officer?
At this point, they haven't said that we do not have to have one. I would anticipate that we will have to have one, but we may not need to do the additional. In fact, we won't need to do the additional nurses in the schools per se.
Okay, and will our COVID hotline still be in place?
I think that's a question we could clarify in terms of, is that still the way we're going to report it? My guess is yes, because there will still be cases potentially.
Okay, and then just
I think so.
Okay, and then lastly, I just clarify, you said we will keep spacing 3 feet where possible.
Yes.
Can you just clarify what you mean by that? Are we going to do 3 feet, but if we can't, we're willing to go less?
We'll do as much spacing as we can in the classroom. I don't anticipate having to split classes, and that was also discussed.
Okay, so we can run a class at regular capacity.
Well, that's the intent of doing that, yes. Unless we are, I'm planning on doing that, unless we are told absolutely you cannot do that. And we've got medical approval to do that.
Mr. Sini.
Dr. Adley, who would tell you that?
Who would tell us it?
Who is the authority to tell you that?
The Connecticut State Department of Education, along with the Connecticut Health Department.
Okay, thank you.
Alicia, can you give Dr. Adley just some color around, New York City schools are going maskless, New Jersey, Governor allowed schools to do independent, go maskless on their own with the heat. What are the conversations at the state level about masks? And I know all of this can change over the course of the next 2.5 months before schools open, but what are the conversations with the state? Are high vaccination levels and kind of the demand of parents and students to not wear masks?
I think that what they talked about today was New York, and I didn't realize New Jersey had done that about the mask wearing, but they said the CDC intervened and made them pull that back, and that they have to mask. So the CDC is kind of influencing our local and state health departments on when you have to mask. And so right now it's still mandatory in schools. And based on the meeting we had this morning, I think we can anticipate that that will remain the same going forward. As far as heat is concerned, and they did speak about that a little bit, and the guidance that was given was if it's too hot in your schools for kids to be comfortable, then you should consider closing the schools and doing remote learning over having them be in school without masks. So, I mean, that might make your jaw drop a little, but that was the suggestion that was given today due to heat and mask wearing.
So really, I wouldn't need the governor's permission to do what I have to do if I felt there was something that we couldn't function for some reason. I don't really need the governor's permission to close the school or modify a mask. I mean, we would be able to do those things. So I'm glad he perhaps intervened for New Jersey, but it's.
I don't know whether the CDC intervened in New Jersey, but the governor gave schools their option to wear masks in the heat. Mr. Sini.
Just a follow-up, are there any conversations about the costs of wearing masks in terms of the health and welfare, and also from an educational standpoint at the state level? You know, I'm just struggling here, the cost benefit with 0 cases in our local communities.
That's the argument that the superintendent's on the phone today. We're making. It's going to continue to be the argument that we are going to try to put a bit of pressure on, because there's some things that don't make as much sense in continuity of messaging.
Mr. Brown.
Sorry, Alan, just a moment ago, you said you could close the schools without the governor. And it's something about masks, but I apologize.
Well, listen, if there's something unsafe, whether it would be these masks or otherwise, if I felt it was unsafe, I would have to intervene. If it was too hot, if we didn't have air conditioning and the kids were wearing their masks and it was 90 degrees and humid and so on and so forth, or then I may have to do something, right? May I have to either close the school, or I don't think I could remove them because it's a requirement to actually have them in school. So if that's the case, then I would have to perhaps close school or something. That wasn't on the radar.
Question. I heard you say something about the mask, but you can't. You have permission to do that, or you don't?
No, that's technically state law at this point.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
I will say just quickly under these things like hand washing and so on. Yes, we will do that, and have the hand washing stations in appropriate areas like the portables and so on. Safety also comes under ventilation, and there's money on the grant that we have designated for additional ventilation and airflow to make sure those are done an additional time. So that's something that falls under health and safety.
I would say just whatever you need from the board or community perspective. I think the board would like to hear that in terms of your conversations with the state and with other superintendents. If those superintendents are on board with, this mask thing a little over the top at this point in time based on vaccinations and everything, I think the state needs to do a better job of listening. Thanks, Karen.
I may have missed this, and I apologize if I did. Are you still thinking that you'll use the cohorting model in the middle school and elementary school?
It's going to be as the classes at the elementary school primarily are cohorted, but it'll be limited. It'll be more limited, but where we can, we'll do it.
Mrs. Ackman.
Can you just please keep the board apprised of any, as you lay out this plan, any budgetary issues that relate to this plan?
The budgetary issues that are related to this are actually reflected in the actual grant application for the most
So
part.
so just to clarify, any costs associated with this plan will all be inside of the grant?
Well, if they're needed, so for instance, ventilation will be inside the grant, we have masks and so on. So I haven't identified as yet that there's any other need. If we split a class, then I have to go back to the board for the class or something like that. But at this point,
So that's what I'm asking, as it comes up, just if you could
Sure,
flag
yep.
for us, like we did this year, tracking it, if we can also track it.
Thank you, Mrs. Dodd.
thank you.
Want to continue?
Yes, I will. Continuity of services. Continuity of services deals with transportation, food, remote learning, those types of things, technology. So in essence, schedules. Remote learning, again, it will not be provided an option other than if someone has to be quarantined. The busing is going back to the normal schedule. We're not running a late staggered bus to the schools. You will still have to wear technically a mask on a bus because it's a sort of school property inside. That was reiterated. The technology, we have the one-to-one, so that will continue in that regard. We will provide an option to do some remote PPTs. There are no half day, no Friday half days in the schedule. We will do, I think we're going forward with an opt-in, opt-out for the busing as we did last year to see if that would help us in that regard. And again, there are no early dismissal Fridays. So those are the types of continuity of services, along with special services that are provided. But those are sort of the big buckets that they want you to touch upon. The schedules, I would share with you schedules. Elementary schedule is, I'll say, relatively nearly completely the same. In fact, the number of minutes is the same. The schedule is essentially the same. We're just trying to line some time for teachers to meet in their teams, tighten that up a wee bit and give them the time. There's no change other than that to instructional minutes, classes, content. So the elementary will be the same. Middle school would like to rotate the periods, the 1 through 8. So they have 1 through 8 right now. So essentially, Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, all the days are the same. They would like to, based on feedback from the staff, to rotate. Instead of going 1 through 8, you start 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, and just rotate them through like that. Some of the periods at lunchtime have to stay the same, and you rotate within the lunch period. But essentially, it is an 8-period day, and they would like just to rotate those. The feedback that they got was some students do better in some of the subjects in the morning, some do better a wee bit later in the day. So it's really not changing minutes or curriculum or materials or content. It's just literally rotating the schedule. So that's.
Any questions on continuity services?
Yeah, I just have a question on that last thing. I know the board and both Mrs. Summers, when they were there, have been pushing for that for years. It's interesting that it comes up now as part of this plan. Is there a new reason why? Is it related to COVID, or is it just a shift in how the middle school would like to operate?
Chris, do you want to comment on that?
I would say it's a shift in how they want to operate. If last spring, when Mrs. Summers presented, she presented the gradual incremental things they wanted to do, and this rotation was the next thing. And she said, but not next year because of COVID and the uncertainty. And so now that there is less uncertainty than last year, they pushed it forward again.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. McCown.
This is probably a hybrid of the first two, but you mentioned remote PPTs. And I think when we talked about conferences, we talked about
Yes.
keeping some remote
Yes,
conferences.
correct.
And then also just taking that, or team meetings, and taking that further, what will be the general policy about adults in the school building who are not, like parents in particular, or other volunteers? Have we looked at that?
So for people to come into the building, it's not as if people cannot come into the building at this point. I think I'll take that. I would take that one under advisement as to what we might or want to do. Again, I'm looking at everything, every aspect of trying to get back to as normal a situation as possible. So I would look at it with that lens of if coming into the building, with the mask makes sense, and it seems reasonable, then that's what we do. If it doesn't, then we won't.
Stakeholders feedback?
No, I'm just the high school schedule. So the high school,
Okay.
so the high school schedule, well, essentially, I'll say essentially, but because Friday changes, right? With the half day no longer being in place. What the schedule that has been run this particular past year would be the schedule that they would like to keep. As I shared before, this is an opportunity. Actually, I think it's honestly one of the things you learn. One of the things have we learned through COVID? Well, this has provided the opportunity for the high school to look at some sort of block schedule to see if it works. I don't think this is a real good test to see if it works because kids are not really collaborating together and that type of thing. This gives it, hopefully, by the fall, a wee bit more of a realistic opportunity to see what it's like when they are working together, when they have the opportunity to do that. So we would like to keep that high school schedule essentially the same. Things that change is that they've now reduced the passing time, right? Because we did 10 to 12 minutes passing time, now reduced down to 8 minutes passing time. So essentially it would be keeping the schedule the same. I think the students have adapted well to it. And the staff would like to keep that for another year. And I think it's a perfect opportunity to do a reassessment of its productivity and its viability moving forward.
Questions around that? Mrs. Ritchie?
Just about open ends, is that something that we anticipate will continue?
Mrs. Ritchie, it's a topic I've not discussed yet, but it's certainly one that I will say the feedback on the open ends that the students really rose to the challenge, which I think generally they do. In many cases when we ask young people to step up, but we'll reflect on that and we'll.
Any other questions?
So, you can see it. So stakeholder feedback, again, if you were to read what the State Department said, it would say their public comment, but again, public comment in their mind, it means something different than it means for boards of education. So we're really looking for feedback. I have been sharing in the last couple of weeks about the letters that this is being continually discussed. It's been on the agenda for a couple of meetings. I'm really looking at the feedback primarily from the Board of Education as to representing the community as to what that feedback should be. If people want to come on public comment, they certainly have the ability to do that. I've shared with them that this would be discussed. Our teachers, our administrators, those are groups along with the Board of Education that we are constituting as our stakeholder feedback. I haven't gone out and did a whole survey of the parents by design. I think we've heard our parents the whole way through. I think the board is representing their voice in many ways. I think we've heard their voice and are being responded to that and what we're presenting. So that would be, those would be the way I would be addressing the stakeholder feedback. And it's primarily through here. It's been on a board agenda a number of times. It will be at the next meeting also.
Any open questions around that? Mrs. Ritchie?
So along those lines, how are we making people aware that they should share their sentiments during public comment? And do we feel we should extend that to something more than just public comment? Is there another way that people can reach out with their sentiments?
So I've tried to flag that in the last couple of communications that I'll be discussing that at these particular board meetings. So at least people would know if you wanted to comment on it or discuss it, you can. I can certainly be even more direct for the next board meeting if you'd like me to do that. I'm certainly happy to do that.
Mr. Sini?
Might I suggest we do a public hearing on it?
A what?
Public hearing.
A public hearing?
Yeah. As an agenda item.
I just think that I just said that's
overkill.
a wee bit excessive and actually unnecessary. But
living in this community, I want to open up as many avenues of communication around this issue as possible. We've dealt with a lot over the last year and a half.
Yeah.
And I think we give the opportunity. Hopefully, it's consistent with what we've heard. But I think it might be a good opportunity to call it out and promote it almost.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Sini.
Mrs. Ackman.
Does the public have any opportunity to change the plan or no?
If there's something that resonates or otherwise, yes, it's just the same as the board has a voice. So if I'm hearing something at the board table here that we need to change and so on, I'm certainly considering that. So it would be in the same capacity, not quite the same because they don't have that, they don't play the role of a board of education, but the voices of people just are to be represented. But we can. It's not as if you have to have all these groups. That's not a requirement, right? So it's how you actually do that is up to us as the administration and also the board as to how you would want to do that.
I think to the point of the board questions that I think with all that we've gone through over this last year, I think this will continue to change over the course of the summer. And so it should be front and center topic of conversation at our board meetings. I think our public comment has always been a useful tool for our community. So I think we continue to monitor that closely, public comment this evening in the next meeting. But I think amongst the board, we should discuss having an additional meeting if we feel it warrants being fully open with the community as we always are, subject to change as you go and, kind of roll out the opening of the school plan. I think it's a good point. Mrs. Ritchie.
Just to clarify, this plan is due by the end of June?
No, this plan has to be posted. It's posted on the website the 23rd of June.
Okay, so in other words, if we want to get stakeholder feedback, don't we need to obtain that then in advance of this plan being submitted? Or is that something that we can hold off on?
If the board would like me to consider of having a separate meeting or something for the parents, yes, we would have to do that. If you want to squeeze in an extra meeting somewhere, yes, we would have to do that. I honestly did not think that was necessary based on feedback I'm receiving here and feedback that we've had along the way with the parents.
May I clarify?
So, Mr. Sini, I was just going to ask you if you could clarify specifics over and above the plan. Has to be submitted, and then just to clarify, I think Mr. Rudel has said it, and you have said it. This can be amended. This plan.
Yes, they're
can be amended at any time, or just after 6-month period.
Well, minimally, it has to be after those 6-month period.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. Sini.
Yeah, I wasn't going for a separate meeting. I was an agenda item, public comment.
Oh, okay.
Related. I'm sorry, public hearing, because that's a significant difference there. Because then we can converse back and forth about that topic. A public hearing on this subject matter within an agenda. I don't want to create a special meeting. That wasn't my suggestion, just to be clear.
Okay. Any other thoughts or comments from the board around that?
Is that, I just want to clarify, that mean just an agenda item?
Yes.
So maybe so maybe similar to how we work our public hearing for the budget, we could start the meeting with a public hearing. People want to give us feedback on the plan and then move into our regular meeting. Is that what Mr. King is saying?
Yep. Again, it can be part of an existing meeting agenda. It doesn't have to be a separate meeting.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
And the periodic review process is simply, it's every 6 months or so that we have to do that. And the uniform format is simply making sure that on the website that it's ADA compliant. And so that's pretty straightforward.
Any additional comments or questions around this? American Rescue Act and the opening of schools?
Well, this is the American Rescue Act. I reissued the memorandum. So we're back on this particular topic. This doesn't have to be posted by the 20th.
Go ahead, Ms. Ritchie. Sure.
After it's completed, will the board see a copy of that?
Yes, we can just, yes, it's actually drafted right now.
Thank you, Mrs. Ritchie. Are you going to go through this, Dr. Adler?
Well, I think there's an accompanying memorandum. This has not changed since the last time. If there are changes that the board wishes to see, I'm happy to entertain those discussions.
Mrs. Ackman.
I guess I just would continue my message that I think if we need things in our budget, we should be mindful of that because it goes through a full vetting process. And I know this year has presented some challenges, but ruler was talked extensively about board members extending ruler during the budget. A school psychologist, we've been told to anticipate that request, for a year or two now. So while I understand that it's found money and that we can see it in the budget, I do think that it has implications going forward. And so I would just really stress that I'd rather things come forward through a full budgeting process when possible, so that we can go through the lengthy debate about it. I mean, this year might have presented different situations, and we have a grant that we'll have for a year, but I expect those things will continue in our budget.
Thank you, Mrs. Acklin. I think in that plan as it stands now, the dollars are expended over the course of the first year.
Correct.
So I think the conversation should start early in the fall as to what you see as continuing to stay from a budget standpoint in terms of what those needs are once you've done all your assessments at the beginning of the school. Okay, good. Anything else on this, Dr. Abbott? Mrs. Ritchie?
Okay, sorry. I realize that these positions that are in the grant are being posted as one-year positions. And I was just wondering if there would be a challenge to filling any of these positions because of that.
Potentially. Potentially. Positions in general are potentially 1 year in nature, given people's tenure laws and so on and so forth. So you have to be successful after the first year. But yes, if you flag it at, and we would flag it at that, we would tell people it's a 1 year position. We would say if it survives the budget process, you would have to reapply, re-interview for it. So potentially, yes. Does it make it easier? No, but I don't think it's. We don't think that it's at the point where we're not going to be able to get anyone.
So Dr. Adley, when you say when it survives the budget process, are you anticipating, like, is that part of a conversation with a hiree that I anticipate this in the next budget, or is it just posted as a 1 year position based on the grant?
I just for the school psychologist position.
There's 5.5.
No, I think the only one that I have flagged that there was potential for it to come for the next year was really the school psychologist position. Now, there's a special education position that has now come into the discussion, or actually not even discussion. There's a need for that. I have to address that. If that need is still there next year, then I'll have to continue to advocate for that. So I guess the school psychologist and the special education are the two positions that one was being discussed for next year anyway. So I fully anticipate that will probably survive that process. And if this support service need is still in place, I would have to bring that forward.
So just to clarify, so those two positions, when you're posting for those positions, you're going to say those are permanent positions, even though we haven't had a budget discussion about this. No,
absolutely not.
Okay, great. Okay.
You mean
Can we be clear, just so we hear the answer?
Are you defining permanent like after 1 year?
Okay, thank you.
Guys, I didn't hear the answer. Just make it clear.
The answer is these are 1 year positions.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other? Go ahead.
No.
You good? You good? All right. So we'll move along. High school vision of the graduate presentation and discussion. Mrs. Ellen Dunn.
I just clarify the actual name, the agenda item on this. It says high school. It was only because I only naming it that way. That was where primarily the work was required to be done.
In March
but
of 2020.
But it really is a district vision of the graduate. Is really what we're looking at here. And I think people are aware that this is be included as part of our strategic plan. That was what the process that we went through. This is also a part of the 2024 decennial NESC accreditation visit. But this really came out of our strategic plan, and I will let Mrs. Dunn, the principal, speak to it.
Hello, everyone again. In order to capture the voices of the guiding coalition for the vision of the graduate K-12, Kate Demoulas, our assistant principal, has orchestrated a video presentation in our Zoom world, which I think will explain the work that's been done on the project and what brings us to this moment in time. I want to thank Kate, Megan Emanuelson, Vanessa Kowalski, Tiffany O'Connor, Veronica Lima, Garen Mullen, Lily Tarrant, our wonderful student participant in this process, Francis Janasco, and our friend Jeff DeMeo for helping to put together the presentation. It's very well done, and I think it is helpful to us for not avoiding us all coming in on Zoom and talking separately. So I hope that it will be helpful for you to understand the tremendous tireless efforts of the coalition and the work that is bringing forward a vision for the future for our students from kindergarten through their senior year, and an exciting road for the work ahead. Also want to thank Patrice Nelson from Connecticut Center for School Change, who's facilitated our work, shared her expertise that she's gained from mentoring many districts on this journey. And she is on the Zoom tonight as well, and I'm sure will say a few words following the presentation. Some of the members of the coalition are here, and it looks like one of our little friends is also watching with Stimula, so she helps mommy working there. That's great. And so if Michelle can run the video for us, we'll begin there. Thank you.
In March of 2020, the Darien Public Schools assembled a coalition of stakeholders: students, parents, teachers, administrators, community leaders, and Board of Education members, for the purpose of defining a vision of the graduate.
A statement of what it means to our community to prepare students from kindergarten through high school graduation for a successful future.
Two aspirations emerged from community input.
That all students would have the confidence and capacity to be self-directed, independent adults who live purposeful, happy, fulfilling lives, and that they would become citizens who contribute collaboratively and innovatively to their local and global community.
In an era of rapid change to education and to the workforce, the Darien Public Schools recognized the need to identify through this vision the skills and dispositions required to raise compassionate, resilient problem solvers and leaders.
Communication, creativity, curiosity, empathy, independence, and integrity.
Darien Public Schools is committed to giving all of our students multiple opportunities to master these competencies and to acquire these dispositions throughout their experiences in our schools and throughout their engagement with our curriculum from pre-K through graduation.
As a result, we believe we will have graduated individuals who have a strong academic foundation and are prepared to use the knowledge and skills they have acquired to cast and fulfill a purposeful vision for themselves, their community, and the world.
A vision of the graduate articulates what attributes or competencies a school system believes each student should acquire by the time they graduate. As a process, the development of the vision of the graduate is grounded in the needs and the values of the local community while looking forward to future demands of learning and work. As a final product, a vision of the graduate guides curriculum and instruction and reinforces community values across the district.
While a vision of the graduate is both a community statement and K-12 commitment to teaching and learning, Darien High School began its initial thinking in November 2019. Teachers collaborated to identify and prioritize the building's values that are reflected in both the strategic plan and the vision of the graduate. That initial conversation served as a launch point for our work.
In March of 2020, Darien Public Schools gathered the guiding coalition for the vision of the graduate. Representatives from all stakeholder groups, students, parents, community and business leaders, as well as district teachers, building administrators, and Board of Education members, who collaborated to research the landscapes of education and post-secondary college and career readiness, gather community input, and analyze our findings to identify the critical skills, competencies, and attributes the Darien community wants every student to have developed by the time they graduate. The guiding coalition began its work by investigating the future of learning and work. We then sought stakeholder input through a community-wide survey. Since March 2020, the Guiding Coalition has engaged in a recursive writing process, seeking community input, drafting, gathering feedback, and revising. From June 1st to June 14th, 2020, over 1,200 members of the Darien community and public school system participated in the survey to share their understanding of the needs of students in our community, as well as their priorities for student learning outcomes. The survey consisted of 4 questions. How do you define success for the graduates of Darien? What are the most important attributes that you want students to acquire before they graduate? What skills must our students possess in order to be prepared for the future? What 3 words would you want someone to use when describing a Darien High School graduate? These data were analyzed quantitatively and qualitatively, looking for themes within and across specific questions for the entire data set and for individual stakeholder groups. This coalition utilized this data to inform our drafting process, which began in the summer of 2020.
Throughout the writing process, the Guiding Coalition has repeatedly sought community feedback. In the summer of 2020, a working group took our initial drafting to high school students and teachers, alumni, district administrators, and back to the full coalition. After implementing feedback, narrowing our selection of attributes, drafting and revising descriptors, and identifying and drafting learning outcomes, the coalition concluded this process by holding 27 community focus groups with over 200 participants, representing teachers from all grade levels, students, several parent groups, and administrators. After several rounds of drafting and feedback, we are proud to share our final vision of the graduates tonight.
From our work, the Guiding Coalition identified 6 attributes: communication, creativity, curiosity, empathy, independence, and integrity.
Effective collaboration will depend on your ability to listen with a discerning ear and express your ideas with clarity and passion. Communication is a 2-way exchange. Listen before you speak. Hear what is behind the word. Craft your communication with purpose and choose your words carefully. They hold great power. Know that your actions also tell your story. Find your own voice and dare to use it to build your community and change your world. Communication. Seek to understand and be understood. I communicate effectively by actively listening to and speaking with teachers and peers. I engage in reflection and revision to achieve clarity of expression. I formulate questions to effectively gather and evaluate information for accuracy. I collaborate with peers to interpret meaning and present our shared learning. I present my ideas clearly and confidently to audiences to inform and persuade. I reflect on my communication with others in order to develop a deeper understanding of myself. I craft pieces of academic writing and presentations for varied audiences and purposes. I use my speaking and listening skills to engage in meaningful dialogue about real-world topics. Communication is important to me as a teacher because it opens pathways for my students to negotiate meaning and to share, interpret, and understand each other's thoughts and ideas, even in another language.
Pursuing new ideas will inspire you and others. Connect all that you have learned in order to generate novel thinking, design solutions, and innovate. Embrace the trial and error process. See mistakes as opportunities. Problems are solved by thinking about what can be rather than what has been. Seek and appreciate the beauty within each discipline. Believe in your vision and give form to your ideas. Creativity, learning outcomes. I find opportunities to formulate ideas across all disciplines and in diverse forms. I take academic risks without fear of making mistakes in front of peers. I identify opportunities and develop questions that require innovative solutions. I collaborate with peers in order to solve problems, improve outcomes, and give form to my ideas. I approach tasks with flexibility and adaptability. I see the formation of my identity as a creative process. I apply knowledge to novel academic situations and context to generate new thinking and perspectives. I boldly imagine creative and innovative solutions to real world problems. Creativity. Dream, imagine, and invent. As a teacher, creativity is important because students should never give up on their dream. They should also see their failures as a pathway to success.
Curiosity, wonder, and ask why. Approaching the world with childlike amazement will lead you to new questions and inspire learning for life. Pursue knowledge as it provides the bedrock for thinking. Turn your mind to inquiry while pursuing your passions. Engage with others' thinking and question with persistence to deepen your understanding. Commit to fearless exploration of the unknown because it will open doors to new possibilities. I demonstrate my scholarship through active questioning and research across disciplines. I fearlessly reveal my passions and wonderings and persist towards my goals when I face failure. I respond to newly presented facts, developments, and ideas with follow-up questions and by asking why. I engage respectfully with individuals and groups whose thinking is different from my own. I investigate the connections across disciplines to uncover what weaves them together for a deeper understanding. I explore interests outside of my comfort zone to develop a more well-rounded self. I approach new tasks and subjects with an enthusiastic spirit, resulting in better motivation and outcomes for academic learning. My curiosity inspires thinking in others and engages them in solving problems in our community and world. As a parent, curiosity is important to me because curiosity is learning for the sake of learning, not for good grades. Curiosity leads us to try new things, to be more open-minded, and it just makes life more interesting.
Empathy. Understanding other people's experiences will enable you to form meaningful relationships and empower you. Open your heart and mind to the ideas and feelings of others, and as a result, learn more about yourself. Radiate kindness, act with compassion, embrace diversity and stand up for others and for inclusion. Honor the humanity of each person and contribute to a community that provides all with a sense of belonging. Empathy. Grow in the light of human connection. I seek to understand the experiences of others and treat others with dignity and respect. I courageously seek to move beyond personal bias and social constructs and see individuals for who they are. I respond to new people, places, and situations with the question, what more do I need to learn for a better understanding? I seek out alternative perspectives in order to challenge and improve my thinking and to develop as an ally. I use perspective taking, inquiry, and synthesis skills to better understand others. I reflect on what I learn about others to develop a deeper understanding of myself. I develop healthy, kind, and meaningful relationships within and outside my school community. I compassionately advocate for an inclusive, equitable community and a just world. As a principal, empathy is important to me because it is the foundational skill that helps us understand others and how others are feeling. By experiencing empathy, we are able to build strong social connections. In our students, empathy is critical to making positive friendships and social bonds, leading to our students being skilled collaborators. Additionally, the more we understand others, the more we can understand ourselves. This helps our students build independence and a strong sense of identity while fostering inclusion and advocacy as they understand multiple perspectives and develop their own. So as a principal, empathy is important to me because it really is the key to it all.
Independence. The life you build for yourself will be founded on how much you trust and rely on your unique talents and thinking. Self-reliance frees you to become who you are meant to be. Persist when you encounter obstacles and know that you can seek guidance to help you grow. Set goals and work hard to reach them. Diligence has its own rewards. Confidently choose what's best for you, balancing life's demands. Forge your own path. I rely on my own skills, knowledge, and talents to set and achieve goals. I respond resiliently to obstacles and setbacks, drawing inspiration from within. I accurately self-assess by asking, what am I doing well and where can I grow? I identify and appropriately advocate for resources that support my academic, social, and emotional goals. I analyze my experiences and synthesize my learning to formulate my own ideas and questions. I am confident in my talents, skills, and thinking, and understand that hard work brings reward. I create and manage my own schedule of tasks, activities, and events while prioritizing self-care. I recognize my ability to bring about positive changes in our community and in our world. As Director of Guidance for grades 6 through 12, independence is important because it gives students a sense of empowerment and capacity to direct the paths of their lives.
Integrity, do the right thing even when no one is watching. Those who earn the respect of others conduct themselves honestly and adhere to principles in the face of adversity and social pressures. Tell the truth no matter how difficult. Accepting responsibility earns trust and reveals strength of character. Advocate for justice, lead by example. Know who you are and let your actions speak for you. Develop your moral compass and demonstrate the courage to honor it. I demonstrate my character through my words, actions, and decisions. I adhere confidently to my principles, even in the face of social pressures. I respect, question, and stand up to those who speak or act in ways that are unjust, unfair, or unkind. I lead by example and celebrate the contributions of others when working in groups. I evaluate information, situations, and ideas to determine what is truthful. I act in ways that demonstrate my character and reflect the strength of my convictions. I earn respect for my academic ideas by citing and showing respect for others' work. I serve as a leader and a role model in my community and advocate for social justice. As a student, integrity is important to me because I am able to earn respect and admiration from my peers and teachers.
In addition to writing a description for each attribute, the Guiding Coalition identified 8 learning outcomes for each attribute. For grades 6 through 12, these learning outcomes are expressed sequentially, each of them representing a category of transferable embedded skills. These learning outcome categories are attribute acquisition, overcoming obstacles, asking questions, collaborating with others, thinking critically, developing identities, extending fundamental academic skills, and ultimately, positively influencing our community and our world.
The learning outcomes can be presented as a table such that one can read the development of outcomes for the individual attributes vertically, and also so that the development of the transferable skills can be read across the outcomes horizontally. In other words, the table shows student learning in communication, creativity, curiosity, empathy, independence, and integrity, as well as the development of attribute acquisition, asking questions, collaboration, thinking critically, developing one's identity, extending fundamental academic skills, and positively influencing community and the world across those attributes. While the vision of the graduate culminates with high school experience, it is a statement of our pre-K through 12 commitment to teaching and learning. As such, the learning outcomes will be scaffolded and implemented across for pre-K through 5 students as well. A working group has drafted these outcomes and will finalize them in the fall. The scaffolding begins by identifying the transferable skills for elementary students. At the pre-K through 5 level, the transferable skill development areas become identifying the attributes, increasing frustration tolerance, practicing inquiry and investigation, learning about group work and friendship, connections and problem solve, understanding self-identity, developing early academic skills, and understanding community. This working draft of the outcome statements for pre-K through 5 are modeled as the staircase to learning for the 6 through 12 learning outcomes, and similarly built both vertically for the attributes and horizontally for the skills, while being student-friendly for the pre-K through 5 population. These outcomes will be finalized by a subcommittee in the fall after seeking feedback.
The Darien Public Schools vision of the graduate prioritizes the same values as the district's strategic plan. Both articulate a path towards excellence in teaching and learning. In the attribute descriptors and learning outcomes, there is a commitment to student and community wellness, to treating others with respect and civility, to nurturing diversity and inclusion, and to working for equity, each driven by the understanding that future-ready graduates will need to collaborate and innovate to make progress for themselves, others, and the world. This vision of the graduate reflects the community belief that individuals who are able to communicate, create, be curious, those who are empathetic, independent, and live and act with integrity will be set up for personal fulfillment, meaningful contribution, and happiness. Goals of the strategic plan outline some of the next steps for our collective work in implementing the vision of the graduate. As a statement of our shared values for graduate learning outcomes, the vision of the graduate contributes to our shared vision of teaching and learning. It drives curricular writing and revision. The values herein align with Goal 2, fostering a culture that promotes wellness, diversity, and inclusion. Finally, Goal 3 states that we will develop a balanced definition of success through the vision of the graduate. And it is this question that began and drove our work. The attributes of the vision of the graduate prepare students not only for achievement, but also for meaningful and fulfilling lives. Thank you to the members of the Guiding Coalition for your contributions throughout this process, to the many community members who've given feedback to help guide our work, and to the Board of Education for the opportunity to present this vision of the graduate tonight.
Mrs. Dunn is here. Kate might be there or not, but I just want to congratulate the members of that committee, which there are members here who are on that committee, for their work. This have seen visions of the graduate. This represents a comprehensive, sophisticated level of thinking that you would certainly expect from our staff. And I'm actually very, very proud of the work that they've developed. They've even taken the extra step of going into the elementary level to look at what that might mean. And it's a very, very comprehensive document. If you get a wee chance to look at the outline that they did in terms of categories for each of these attributes, I'm very impressed with the work that has been done. Very, very impressed. And with that, I'll certainly open up to Mrs. Dunn to make any further comments.
Thank you. I'm not able to get my video on again, I think. I thought it might be nice to welcome Patrice. She might be able to give us a little commentary on how this may compare to her experiences with other districts. And she has been a great facilitator and kind friend to us during this long year of work. Thanks, Patrice.
Sure, I'm happy to. And I'm delighted to be here. And but I was even more delighted to have the opportunity to work with the coalition and to work with Ellen and Kate, who sort of served as a mini steering team to support the work of the coalition. All of the pieces of the process, which were so beautifully described just now, were informed by the most effective practices and organizations that are working on visions of the graduate or portraits of a graduate around the country and in fact around the world. And what stands out to me is how sort of authentically and seriously the coalition took the charge of understanding what being future ready means, getting engagement with the community, all of the things that were talked about here, and representing that as honestly and authentically as they could, which is one of the reasons that this vision of the graduate, unlike many that I've seen, is exactly what you said, Dr. Adley. It is incredibly comprehensive and gives you a running start, sort of ahead of folks who have done this one-year work, because you've so carefully articulated what you see as what a particular attribute means. So it's really clear what it means to be a good communicator or to communicate if you are a student from Darien. The next task you have, in addition sort of articulating the pre-K to grade 5, sort of and articulating that whole piece out, is to do a gap analysis to sort of assess where we are right now in relationship to achieving all of those discrete skills and dispositions as they've been articulated. And then once you've done that assessment, to sort of determining, just as Kate said in the video, to determining what's the curriculum work that needs to be revised or adapted? And also, what are the instructional shifts that need to happen in order for students to achieve that vision? And then once that happens, to develop a long-range plan. So there are districts around the country, some of whom have started this 10 years ago, that are still see themselves as working to achieve the vision of the graduate. It's not that their students aren't moving there and they're not having success, is that they keep understanding how they can better promote those different attributes. So I'd say that in comparison to other districts around the state and around the country, I've only worked with districts in the state, but have seen work from around the country. Darien has a huge leap forward, a solid foundation for the work ahead. I'm loath to say this was sort of the easy part, the real work is ahead, but you have a boost that's going to help you forward. So I was very impressed with the video. I hadn't seen all of that, but it does capture the essence of that coalition. So you're very lucky here in Darien. I was very lucky to have the chance to work with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrice.
So Patrice, thank you so much. And Mrs. Dunn, thank you. And the coalition, thank you. It's an incredible body of work. And to think that has been done along with the strategic plan all through a COVID year and all while all you folks are doing your day jobs and educating our students. So thank you. It's an incredible amount of work and very well presented. I like the presentation through the video, kind of neat. So with that, I'll open it up to some board questions and comments. Mrs. McCammon.
Thank you for the presentation. It was actually nice to have a different mode of learning tonight. I enjoyed it. My first question might be sort of a big question, so it may not be something you choose to answer tonight, but as I was watching it, I think there's so many things I would love to see our students doing, but it was hard for me to see how this gets operationalized from the presentation that's here. I went back and did look at what's written in the strategic plan. But if there's a short answer to how do you take this from what's here on paper to the various ways in which it would touch students. And I'm also curious about not only students for whom it's easy to imagine measuring these attributes, but also students who might be on a different pathway, who might need to access these attributes or have it measured in other ways. So again, that's a fairly long question. Maybe not.
So I think, Mrs. Dunn, I don't want to take your thunder here or answer for you. If you would like to answer that, that's fine. If not, I'm happy to answer. But
you go ahead and I'll jump in if I.
Okay, I guess if you ask for a short version, the short version is it has to show up in instruction and curriculum, or else it doesn't happen. So these things, these attributes here, have to be taught, have to be infused. That is the short version, and actually that's the authentic answer back for all students.
So maybe in the case of modified curriculum, or however you would define it.
Can I just add to Dr. Adling to Ms. McCammon's second part, the idea of how it would be adapted for all learners, to take the same values with the same integrity and the same notion of it, and just make it accessible and how we can tap in with the curriculum and with other social emotional learning for all learners.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Achman.
So I will say to Mrs. McCammon's question, Mrs. Dunn knows it's kind of been my question of how do we make space and room for teachers to do this and effectuate it through curriculum. And Mrs. Dunn gave me a very good answer. Thank you. That, that's step two. First, we have to adapt and agree on the values. So I think think if we can get this underway, then the implementation does become the next kind of hurdle that we work on. But what I would say is, I think some people know, like I was a skeptic in how to get this done and get it done well. And this work in working with this group of people is some of the most proud work that I have done on this board. The people who are committed here were fully committed to this process. The students, the teachers, the administrators, it was so fulfilling to work on because of the care that went into it. So I just really want the board to know how much time and passion went into it, and you could be very, very proud of this working group. And this is coming from someone who is like, how's this all going to work? It was an honor to work with this group of people.
I really do appreciate that, Mrs. Ackman, because having seen visions of the graduate and so on and so forth, this just represents a very thoughtful, and we should be very proud of the quality document and process that went into that. I want to, if I may, just recognize the principal at the moment too for leading that charge, but for everybody on that team, just it's a phenomenal piece of work.
Thank you, Mrs. Ackman, especially since you were part of it. So appreciate that. So, the other, Mrs. Ritchie.
Well, I think right now it might be hard for us to conceive of how this all comes together, but I want to thank everybody who's part of this process, because I do think it's important work and it's integrated into our strategic plan. And I'm truly excited to see how all of this comes together. And I really do thank everybody for their efforts, because it's important work. I thank Dennis, who started on it, and then Tara for stepping up on behalf of the board. Thank you both.
So I think I don't want to take away from any questions, especially questions that may help the coalition going forward. I think one of the things I got out of this evening is this is phenomenal. And of course, the board immediately goes to how do we implement it and how do we measure it? So all good questions that I think will come with time. I think what I'd like to make sure you all know is you've got the support of the board to continue to move this great work forward. And I don't want to take away any time of people asking questions, but we've crossed the 10 o'clock mark. We've got people that have to go to work tomorrow, and we've got more things on the agenda. So I'm happy to keep some questions going, but I would also suggest that we continue to digest this, we continue to ask our questions, and that this continues to come back to the board. And I think you all have a sense of kind of the next steps we're interested in hearing, if that makes sense. Mrs. McCammon.
So I have two hopefully quick ones. The first was, again, just at some point curious about how this dovetails with social emotional learning and ruler. And then the second is specifically on the integrity value. On the bottom of that definition, it has be an advocate for social justice. And I'm asking that the portrait of the graduate group be clear about what that means. That word or that phrase has different meanings to different people. And I think that we need to be clear on that point. I think most likely we would all be in agreement about what it means, but I think it's important as people move forward.
Thank you, Mrs. McCammon.
Mr. Chairman, this is, oh, sorry.
Mr. Maroney.
Sorry, just as a point of in deference to time as well, but I would like to echo Mrs. Ackman that being on this was unbelievably fulfilling, and I'm not sure that it was a point that I would like to recognize is I don't think it was highlighted enough of how much the alumni cared and devoted to bringing input on their experiences of what the school system has done for them, and how much they care and value for the future generations to learn from their mistakes, to learn from what they've learned going out into college. And it was very fulfilling to see that as well.
Thank you, Mr. Maroney. Dr. Evans.
I just, this will be on the agenda for the next board meeting. We did say because it was part of the strategic plan that the board would take a vote on it. So with your understanding, that's the way we proceed.
Good. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Great. Mrs. Dunn and all folks that participated this evening in the great video, thank you so much. Thanks for staying up late night with us. And well done. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We're very proud, and thank you to our parents as well who stuck with us throughout the entire year-long process.
No, thank you.
Thank
I appreciate board comments around parents, students, and alumni. It's important. We always talk about alumni and what they're seeing, feeling, and hearing once they leave us. So it's great to include them in something like this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. All right, moving on. More exciting updates. Report on senior internship project at Darien High School.
I hope that Matt Bukta and Ann
determined to stay with us all night.
I hope that Matt Bukta and Ann Braga are still awake. Oh, I see them popping up here. And they're both our advisors to the Senior Experience Program I want to thank them for their adaptability, both last spring and this spring, as we face the challenges of arranging internships and senior experiences. These are important to us, these opportunities for our seniors. You know, really coming off the discussion of the vision of the graduate, these are the authentic kinds of experiences we want them to have and learn from. And so we are really excited to give you an update on what's been going on. And although we've only had a 3-week window for our projects this year, and internships, we're happy to see that many of our students are out in the field and doing some really great creative thinking and producing great products. So I introduce Matt and Anne. Take it away.
Sure. We have a PowerPoint to share, but I don't think I have permission to share my screen at the moment.
I think we have it up in front of us.
I see it up now. Okay.
Guide Michelle to move it along. That would be great.
Sure.
Thanks.
Beautiful. Thank you. So this year we are updating on the senior internship program, but we call it the experience this year because we gave the students a few different options based on the challenges of this year and the availability of internships. As you'll see on the next slide, we described our 2 options for this year. Either an internship option, which students could participate in either virtually or in person. The internship would be a 30-hour per week commitment for the student. And this year we have about 161 students participating in an internship. All but a handful are in person. Alternately, students had the opportunity to propose a project that was reviewed by our internship committee. They could work either independently or as a team of 2, like same expectation, 30 hours a week. And this year we have about 145 students participating in a self-designed senior project.
So as in previous years, we did continue to use our senior internship program website, which has been helpful for just streamlining the process. We can store site information there. We can send batch updates to seniors and internship sites, review student plans there, track where students are in the plan approval process. So it's been really helpful. And this year, the site administrator was able to actually make the site compatible for both the internship option and project option. So this was helpful for managing sort of those 2 different routes that students could take this year. We can go to the next slide, please. This is just a list of all the different sites that are participating with us this year. We've had more sites participate in the past, but we were so happy that this many sites were able to participate this year, considering the circumstances. And many that weren't able to had expressed that they would be able to participate again next year. And our next slide. And this is really just a list of the different kind of project themes that students came up with. You know, there are a number of different ideas and inspirations for projects. And although we provided students with some general ideas and guidelines, we really wanted the students to have the opportunity to get creative and come up with their own ideas. So these are just some of those themes and some examples of what students did come up with and are currently working on either independently or in a team of 2. And in a bit, we will share a video with some seniors who graciously offered to speak about their own specific experiences so you can get a taste of what they're doing. We can go to the next slide.
As in the past years, most of our requirements are the same, not too much change there. Although this year we are having a daily journal update as students are working on projects. We were interested to see the progress they were making, hoping to keep them on track, offer guidance. So each student does have an in-school mentor, which is checking those regularly and touching base with students. On top of that, there is, as this is typically a transition program, there are some ongoing weekly prompts for students to reflect on as they transition to the next stage of life. As mentioned before, part of the process is a 30-hour per week commitment where they collect artifacts for a presentation at the senior internship or senior experience symposium that we're holding this coming Monday from 1 to 2 o'clock, where students will work in groups of about 10 and present to their faculty mentor. So there'll be a few teachers in the room with about 8 students where they'll discuss what their work was and as you can see on the next slide, how they're evaluated. We share a rubric with the students at the onset of the experience as they start to think about what they might endeavor to do, whether it's an internship or project. And it outlines essentially what the requirements are. At the end of the day, the evaluation is based on completion of the requirements. So the journal obligations, 30 hours per week. Faculty mentors meet with the students and do a visitation. This year, it's a virtual visitation to students throughout the process. And then an assessment of their symposium presentation. And I think at this point, what we'd like to do is let the students speak for their experience themselves. We've attached a short video, and we look forward for your consideration of that.
We don't have the video. The PowerPoint does not have the video. Do they want to screen share and play the video from their end?
And can you hear that? They don't have the video. Do you want to screen share?
Sure, I think I should be able to do that if you give me permission to. Sure. You'll have to let me know if you can hear it. Hang on.
Hi, everyone. I'm Christina.
Could you guys hear that?
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay.
And I'm Casey, and I'm going to Villanova University next year. And I'm going to the University of Notre Dame. So for our senior project, we decided to do a wellness journal that focuses on college well-being, as we have heard as a general consensus from many college students that it can be very difficult to stay healthy in college, both mentally and physically.
Yeah, so one of the most interesting parts of our project, in both of our opinions, was the series of interviews that we conducted. Last week, we met with 4 college students and we asked them about their habits and what's been working for them and what's been harmful to their well-being. One thing that really stood out to us was that each of these students said that having a friend or someone to work out with and eat healthy with, to complete a mindfulness activity with, someone like that was really helpful in protecting, preserving their well-being and keeping them on track with a healthy lifestyle, which we found interesting because currently that's not something we do, but we're excited to try it out and to include it in our journal. We found the whole interview process to be very informative, and we used what we learned to guide our research process, and we're going to use it as well in our journal.
So for our physical book, we have 3 sections dedicated to recipes, exercises, and mindfulness. We researched each topic before compiling a list for each section, and we made sure that our activities are accessible and affordable for college students. And we just hope that this book can guide us as well as our peers towards maintaining a healthy lifestyle despite the difficult transition to college living.
Hey everyone, my name is Tom Sosberg. I'm a senior here at Darien High School and will be attending Georgetown University next fall. And I wanted to take the opportunity to talk a little bit about my senior experience this year and basically what it's been like. So I chose to intern with Baywater Properties and the CEO David Genovese here in Darien. And basically what I've been doing so far at Baywater is me and my other interns, our team of interns, we've been researching neighboring towns, Westport, Rye, New Canaan, to just kind of gain some knowledge and get inspired to see, okay, what do they have there that we need in Darien? And basically what this all comes together is because of the work that Baywater as well as our team of interns is putting into the Corbin District, which is kind of the main project which Baywater is working on to kind of redevelop a main section of downtown Darien. And that's honestly kind of the reason why I got into Baywater, is I've seen all the great work that they've done with the Grocery Plaza, 1020 Post, and other areas around Darien that I think has just been really cool and a great improvement to our town. And I wanted to kind of learn a little bit more about that and behind the scenes of that, as well as kind of the project development and everything. And that's also what I've been doing as well, has been sitting in on some of those meetings with, some possible new tenants, as well as project managers and people that are kind of more interested in the Corbin district coming forward. So it's been a great experience thus far. I've learned a lot, and it's been great working with Baywater as well as my interns to collaborate to create our final product, which will basically be a proposal to the Baywater team to say, hey, this is what we don't have currently in Darien, and this is what we need, and this is how it can be incorporated into the Corbin district. So it's been a great experience thus far, and I can't wait for the last few weeks.
Hello, my name is Eleanor Chase, and for my senior experience, I'm making a series of video essays on social or philosophical issues that I find interesting. I plan to upload 3 videos in total, 1 per week, the first of which was uploaded last week. My first video talked about the continued influence of gender roles on society, and specifically how they can impact men and how to talk about that in a productive way. This week, I'm working on a video about social responsibility that explores questions like, does one have to change their purchasing, voting, or volunteering habits for a greater social good? Hopefully I can explore all the nuances of this question for this week's video. The research process for me involves reading 1 to 2 books, as well as any supplementary articles I need for a video. Last week, I read The Second Sexism by David Benatar and The Myth of Male Power by Warren Farrell. This week, I think I'm just going to be reading To Die For Is Fast Fashion Wearing Out the World by Lucy Siegel. Scripting has been a little more challenging than I thought it would be. I think after last week's video, I realized that a video essay is first and foremost an essay, which, for last week's video, involved a 3,000-word script. That's about the length of a senior capstone essay, but compressed into a couple days. After scripting, there's the recording and editing processes. Luckily, I have experience using the editing software Premiere Pro, as well as the microphone I've been using, so I've been able to get a pretty good handle on that. Overall, I'm really happy with what I've accomplished. I'm learning a lot about the issues, as well as how to write, edit, and make video essays.
Hi everyone, my name is Katie Chandler and I'm a senior at DHS and I will be attending the University of Virginia in the fall. And for my senior internship, I'm interning at Gridiron Capital, which is a small private equity firm in New Canaan. And I've been mostly working with Callie Hapgood, who works in investor relations. And in this internship, I've been researching other competitors and also researching potential investors to approach. And I've been doing this through a spreadsheet and a website called PitchBook, and that's been really cool. I've also been assisting with general marketing needs and been working with the website and social media as well. And I've also been able to sit in on some Zoom meetings and some calls too, which has been really cool. And so far, I've just learned so much about private equity in terms like EBITDA and ESG, and I've just learned a lot. And I kind of chose this internship because I'm interested in business and I'm very good with people and numbers. And so far, I've learned so much, and I just hope to learn more about the business world and how to make a business more efficient. Hi, my name is Natalie Bowles and I'm interning at Make Modern, which is a small sewing and arts and crafts studio here in Darien. I chose this internship, one, because I love sewing and I love doing different crafts, and that is the basis of where this business started. And I was also really interested in learning about all of the behind the scenes that go into running a small business like that. Overall, I've been doing a lot of prep work, cutting a lot of fabric, getting different supplies from the basement, taking last minute runs to Michael's if there's anything missing for an upcoming class, which has really shown me that there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes in making sure that all of the supplies are ready for every single class, whether it's having different beads out, mixing resin, making sure fabric is cut for the younger kids who are learning how to sew, many of which who are still learning the basics and need help with the simple things like cutting fabric. I've also learned a lot about working with kids while I'm helping out with classes. A lot of the students are only 5 or 6 years old, which is absolutely adorable, but can also be a little bit chaotic when you're teaching them a lot of basic motor skills, to be honest, as well as trying to keep everyone doing what they're supposed to be doing. And lastly, I've learned a lot about the business plan that goes into having a small business. At Make Modern, they have a couple of different basic operations. One is running classes for both adults and kids. One is retail in the front of the shop, one is running birthday parties, as well as bringing their Airstream trailer to different events. So yes, I've learned a lot at my internship, both about behind the scenes and working the classes at the business, and I'm having a really good time.
Hi, my name is Veda Malhotra and I'm a senior at DHS. For my senior experience this year, I chose to do a project at home. So pretty much the two things that inspired me to do this project was, number one, the issue of fast fashion, which is something I previously wasn't aware of. Over the past few months, I saw a lot on the internet and social media that companies like Zara and H&M, places that I used to love to shop at, directly contribute to this issue. And the other inspiration was, over quarantine, I learned how to sew using a sewing machine and just, picked it up really quick and found that I loved it. So for my project, I am first creating a sort of clothing line made out of recycled fabrics and just, old unused clothes, and trying to make some of these trendier styles that you usually see at these stores in a more ethical way. And the second part of my project is I will be creating a pamphlet that I can hopefully spread around to my friends and family and the community around me on just kind of what exactly fast fashion is, and how we can, prevent it, stop it. And I will also be writing a research paper just for, my own further awareness and everything like that. So far I'm really enjoying the experience, and thank you.
Hello, my name is James Strong, and for my senior internship, I'm going to be working with Dr. Joshua Smith in his colorectal laboratory at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. For this internship, I'm working both virtually and in person. Somebody will teach me both about the clinical side of research along with the laboratory side of research.
Every Wednesday and Thursday, I will commute to the MSK Zuckerman building in New York City, where I can continue my in-person research.
For my project, I'm researching clinical, pathological, and genetic indicators of brain metastases from colorectal origin. The goal of this inquiry is to identify genetic mutations that will indicate whether a colorectal cancer will spread to the brain, a rare yet exceedingly dangerous prognosis.
To do this, I'm creating a literature review on relevant studies and previous findings on this topic, learning how to do basic computational biology research using cBioportal's impact database, identifying trends in the data, and crafting a research narrative. In the lab, I'm continuing to work on a murine and luminal model, where I'm learning how to make slides of cancer tissues, stain the samples, and analyze the slides. I'll be continuing to do this during my time in Dr. Smith's lab.
My experience at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center has truly been incredible, and has ultimately influenced me to pursue a career in medicine. I'll work with Dr. Smith for the remainder of this summer, and I'm excited to see what else I can learn throughout this process.
All right.
So Ann, thank you. Mr. Buschetta, Dr. Ellen Dunn, thank you so much. Great stories. Appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's fun working with all of them and hearing about all the things they're doing. So
I'm sure it's great to see all that's accomplished in what is been a challenging year. And thank you to all the sponsors and the amount of people that are on that list that continue to want to participate and help the students, and to the students that did the videos, well done. And to all the students that participated during this difficult time, thank you for continuing to step up and do the work as seniors. And I know it's always been an important end of year kind of and project. So exciting. And thank you for all the work that you guys do. Much appreciated.
you're welcome.
Thank you. Any board comments? I think we are good. Thank you very much. Have a good rest of your evening.
Thank you, Ann. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Phenomenal opportunities. Thank you so much for your work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Rudo, we're going to see how quickly you can give a update on the district enrollment.
I'll do it pretty quickly. So this is the enrollment as of June 1st. Enrollment exceeds projections by 25 students, K-12. Of that, 18 are in the K-5 level. Oxford is actually up 22 against projection, and Token is up 10 against projection. Those are the two schools that are seeing the biggest growth, but the other three just slightly down. Based on current enrollment, you would need to use 2 sections from budget control to meet class size guidelines in the 3rd grade at Holmes and the 3rd grade in Tokenique. Both were sections that we flagged in the budget process as potential budget control usage. Additionally, 1 section at Royal has tipped in 1st grade. However, that's offset by a reduction so far in kindergarten to Hindley. There are really 3 areas that we're going to have to monitor closely. Oxford, 4th grade, is 1 student away from tripping a class size section. Hindley, which I mentioned earlier, being down, is only 2 sections away from needing that 4th section. And then Tokenique is only 3 off in kindergarten.
Thank you, Mr. Rudolph. Let's continue to monitor this closely. Board questions or comments? Mrs. Achman.
So given that we're so close and that we'll set sections in July, have we done any additional outreach to kind of shake the trees and know if anything can, so that we can know as much as we can possibly know by end of July?
We're seeing increased numbers in kindergarten, but whether or not there's been specific outreach, I mean, the principals are reaching out to families to make sure, but things remain very close.
Thank you, Mrs. Achman. Any other questions? So to Mrs. Achman's point, we'll continue to monitor that, do what you need to do to get everyone to sign up. But thank you, Mr. Rudolph. Mrs. Ritchie.
I'm sorry, real quick. So we have 2 sections that we know have broken. We need 2 additional teachers. And then it's possible that Oxbridge and Hindley may have also additional sections.
Oxford is 1 off from breaking. Hindley is 2 off from breaking in kindergarten, and then Tokenique is 3 off.
Okay, because you didn't put Tokenique in the memo, and I just had noticed that Tokenique was also there.
Yep.
So just want to confirm that my math was right.
Yep.
Okay, great, thanks.
Mr. Deneen?
Yes, Mrs. Achman.
So
Sorry.
just following up on that, if we have 2 that we already know, sorry, I'm going back in my process now, would we vote July 1 so that Marge can go out and hire for those? Because we have to vote to release those budget controls to
Yes.
you so you can hire.
I would anticipate if we could request that at the next meeting, it'd be helpful.
Okay, as long as we can, I think we're fine to take it up next meeting, but we just have to vote so that you can hire.
Yes.
Thank you,
Thank
Mrs. Achman. So we'll monitor that. And you have, if you need anything in between, let us know.
Just
Mrs. Ritchie.
just a note of, from what I recall, budget control has 4 FTEs, but do you think that if there's a potential to hire 5, that we could work within the budget control number that we have in the budget?
So budget control does have 4. If all of those 3 sections tip, obviously we would need 1 additional section. We would have to address it through a transfer during the next fiscal year, or you'd have to ask for an appropriation.
Okay,
Those would be your 2 options.
thank you, just wanted to know that, thanks.
Any other questions? Moving on, discussion and actions on funding for security updates. Dr. Adley and Mr. Rudolph.
Yes, so before you have it, you have a recommendation to seek funding for improvement to the security system through an additional supplemental appropriation. The security system was discussed as a safety item in the executive session, so those are the funds that we're actually referring to, and we would position to make a motion to approve purchase of those, the security fund through a capital appropriation request for a capital purchase. We have discussed that with the town, Jan at the time, finance director, and she shared with us how she would like us to actually proceed with that. So we have a motion to approve that in that particular fashion.
So we've been through this discussion, as Dr. Adley said in executive session. Our schools continue to be incredibly safe. Dr. Adley brought this to the attention of the board, and the board has agreed it makes sense to move forward with these security upgrades. And Dr. Adley has worked in conjunction with Chief Anderson in the police department that we work very closely with on security issues. We don't talk a lot about security issues at the public forum, and I think everyone knows why. So we'll move forward. Any quick,
We have
sure.
discussion on the finance process.
Yes, yep.
Can you explain why you're recommending going for an appropriation?
So typically, well, certainly my own practice, typically this is something that we would go through a capital request, given that it is a capital item. Typically, that was an accepted good practice to actually go through with a capital request.
And do we have any, I know we have $100,000 in capital for security that we can put towards this. Do we have any other money at our discretion, either in capital or operating, that we could put towards this? Or anything that we could pull back on that was discretionary spending? That, I guess what I'm saying is, before we go for another appropriation, have we exhausted all avenues within our budget?
No, Well, the only thing I think there is a balance that we have, but we're suggesting we request it through the capital purchase and let that play out that way.
And Mr. Rudo, could you just, I think too, it's good to refresh everyone's mind on what we look at in terms of capital.
So just in terms of balances and capital accounts, we don't have the ability to reallocate existing balances from one capital account to another. So while there are some balances in projects that came in under budget, we don't have the ability to reallocate that. Typically, a capital item is something that's over $5,000. That's the threshold set by the town and has a useful life of at least 2 to 5 years.
So I guess my question is, could we consider asking the Board of Finance for anything capital-wise that we already have, that we have funds to reallocate to this project in addition to the $100,000, thus bringing the appropriation amount that's being suggested down?
So they have a couple options available to them. The one that we're recommending is they could utilize the Board of Finance reserve account. And if they approve that, then they would reallocate that to the existing $100,000 budget to provide the $325,000 recommended amount. If they don't want to do that, they could identify other areas of projects that haven't been closed out, request that they be closed out, and then move that money to those accounts. Or the third option would be to ask them to go through the full supplemental appropriation process, which would then have to go to the RTM afterwards.
So maybe I'm not being clear.
Every August, we get a list of projects to close out.
Mm-hmm.
So last year was the last year of the large list of projects. We only had 5 projects in the COVID year. And the only one that has any sort of surplus is the 100,000 security we haven't spent. Dr. Adler and Mr. Rulo are saying we already, so what you're suggesting we do, we're already doing it.
Okay.
We don't have any other,
So we don't have any balance in our capital projects.
we don't have any
that we could
real
suggest.
balances in other capital accounts, maybe $500, $1,000, because every August we clean those accounts.
Just from projects that are
Finished.
For current
and,
year.
yeah, if we
Yeah,
finish a
sometimes we
project
have-
and have a surplus in August, we clean that account with the town.
Okay, so if we don't have any, that
We don't
answers
have it.
And
that
Rich,
question.
you confirmed also that the 100,000 that's in capital that was allocated to the specific security system we have can be reallocated to the security system.
Yeah, because it's still a lockdown system.
Okay, good.
And we don't want to use any of our operating or anything that we're currently planned that we'd say, hey, that's a little fancy. We could pare back on that to put towards this project such that our appropriation request was smaller or we were operating within our budget.
I'm not seeing anything that we would cut back on, Mr. Talkman.
Mr. Steeney?
I mean, the proper process for capital projects that are bringing them forth to the Board of Finance and they figure out how to finance them. And I would just add separately that there is a time element here. And so as part of our resolution or messaging to tell them how important it is that we get this project completed by the end of summer and fund it clearly as soon as possible.
Yeah, could you just, Rich, give a quick update that the firm, the vendor process that you went through and the firm is available to implement this over the course of the summer?
So if we can issue a purchase order by June 30th, they can start in the summer.
Okay. Mrs. Ritchie?
Yeah, so my only concern is timing, really. I want to make sure that we get the funds in place when we need them in place so that we can complete this project. So I guess, Rich, when do you need to have approval for any sort of funding request?
So it depends on how the Board of Finance chooses to fund it. And speaking to Jen, if they use the Board of Finance reserve account, their meeting is 15th, Tuesday next week. If they were to approve it out of that fund, we would have ability to issue a purchase order that Wednesday.
Well, it sounds like, I mean, I would think that we would want to move as expeditiously as possible. So if there's, I think it's the Board of Finance capital reserve account. Yep. Is that what they would be potentially accessing?
Correct.
So, I mean, in my mind, I just, anything to do with security, I want it to happen as soon as possible. So as fast as we can get this, I guess at the end of the day, it is, a request, a capital request, and the board can just discuss what method. But for me, it's doing it as quickly as possible and getting those funds in place so we can begin.
Yeah, thank you, Mrs. Ritchie. Mr. Brown?
Can I make a motion to take action and vote to move this along?
Yeah, yes, let me make sure we cover all the questions.
Well, I'm just wondering if we should be separating the motions to do the project and the funding. I'm not sure why we have it together. What I don't want to do is supersede the Board of Finance's role, and it's their decision how they fund it. They can fund it out of a capital reserve.
Well,
They
I
can
think-
fund it however they fund it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the question. I'll get Mrs. McCammon, and then I have a comment to that. Thank you. Go ahead, Mrs. McCammon.
Maybe I have your comment, but I think statutorily we have to handle capital differently. I think in Mooney's book, he outlines it. So we really have to go through a slightly different process because capital is contract with the town, which is different from operating. So we can't just take our operating and throw it into capital, at least the way I understood the book. So I think they're not actually two separate motions.
So I'm not asking that, but I think what I'm saying is that I think this says specifically how the Board of Finance will fund it.
Yes.
And what
that's-
we may want to do is not presume how they choose
No.
to fund it.
No, we're going to move the motion that we need an appropriation to purchase the security system ASAP this month for X amount of dollars, period. And then they can figure out how they, or what they use to pay for it. So that's where the motion will go. So,
Yeah, so
thank
the
you.
only thing I would, in the draft we have is I would maybe remove that reserve account because that's their
Yeah.
decision, not ours.
Yeah.
Should we make a motion there?
Yeah, I will make a motion. Thank you, Mr. Brown. I will make a motion that the Board of Education request I will, excuse me, I will make a motion that the Board of Education request an appropriation from the Board of Finance in the amount of $225,000 to the Board of Ed for approval of a lockout, lockdown system, mass notification system. Our current capital account has a current balance of $100,000, which would cover the total cost of $325,000 to replace the current lockdown and mass notification system. Is everyone in agreement with that motion? Mr. Sini, second by Mr. Brown. All those in favor? That is unanimous. Okay, good. Thank you. Good conversation as always. But I think the goal was as quickly as possible to move it to the Board of Finance. I think the Board of Finance will figure out how to pay for it. And just to recap, we have the $100,000 in the current capital budget. All right. Thank you.
We'd love that to happen on the 15th.
Yes, exactly. Good. Thank you all. Discussion of proposed dates and times for high school professional learning communities for 2021-2022 school year. Dr. Adley.
So this is 21-22, which obviously is this coming year. And there is a school accreditation visit, which is going to be 2024. The NASC accreditation process were all put on hold for the last year and a half or so. And at a recent workshop that Alan went to, there are new standards that not many schools have worked under, the 2020 standards, and they have changed the whole NASC process pretty significantly. That's an agenda item for the next meeting to bring you up to speed with that. But as part of that workshop, Mrs. Dunn brought back that the preparation for that needs to be done, and it needs to be done next year. So the suggestion that I have, typically in the past, there's half days and all sorts of time that is devoted to this for the full staff. That's not necessary in this case, but there is time that we need to give the staff to actually do the work. So I've sort of suggested in here that we go from 7 PLC days essentially to 10 PLC days. If you look at May 13th, and that's not really a PLC day, that would be a half day for the prom, which goes back to a normal sort of process. So it wouldn't be the PLC day, but it'd be a half day. What I'm suggesting is that instead of going from we have in the past, looking at the calendars, we've had 7 or 8 of these days. Now we go to 10 of them. I would say that we go from 1.5 hours to 2 hours. That's a general delayed open and schedule that we have a 2-hour delay. That gives the staff essentially, if they were doing the same work, that would give them an extra basically 9.5 hours to cover the work. We'll be eating into the PLC somewhat more than that, but that would be enough. We feel it'd be enough time to actually get the work accomplished. So it's not on tonight for approval. The board will get the update on the whole NASC at the next board meeting, but I just want to flag that as those are possible times to consider.
Sure, Mrs. Ottman.
We don't typically have a half day for prom. We've readjusted a PLC such that it accommodates kids leaving and not giving them a half day in the morning and then having a whole bunch of kids not there in the afternoon because of prom. So Are we having a half day now because of prom?
Well, maybe Ms. Dunn can comment on this, because my understanding is in the past that we have done that, but Mrs. Dunn, maybe you could clarify that for me?
Mrs. Stockman's correct. We just flipped the PLC to the afternoon instead of the morning. And that accommodates the prom, but we get our PLC work done. So that would be one of the 10 dates.
But it was 2 hours, it's the same probably.
Right.
PLC time.
Yes. Oh, yes.
It's still PLC time, yes.
Thank you.
So you'll come back with more information on this. This was just to kind
Yeah,
of.
these are the dates. The only thing to note particularly is the one you just discussed, and then in October there's 2 of the days in October, just to front load it a little bit. But I think that's a reasonable accommodation. I think the community could understand that, and I think it's a reasonable amount of time. Certainly, it's not an excessive amount of time by any stretch of the imagination to conduct the work.
And you'll come back to the board with a little more information on the NEA-SC overall accreditation.
Oh, yes,
process.
we need to explain to the board what that process is. Yes.
Good. All right. Yes, Mrs. Ritchie.
And then they're coming in 2024. Do we anticipate seeing the change to PLC moving into other academic years? Or
No,
okay.
this
Okay,
is
good,
a
thank you.
one-time sort of self-reflection.
For that.
Okay, so as long as we're not going to see that every year
No.
until they come.
Okay, good. Thank you, Dr. Adley. Further discussion and action on the 2022-2023 school calendar. Dr. Adley?
Well, this is on for approval, I believe. It was discussed at the last meeting, so.
Any questions or comments? Yeah, everyone take a quick look.
And all the PLCs will be added in at a later time.
Yes, but not the additional ones.
Good. Motion to approve the 2022-2023 Darien School District Calendar. Mrs. Parent, second by Mr. Maroney. All those in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you all very much. Moving on to action items, personnel items. Mrs. Sion.
So the hiring season has officially begun, and I just wanted to point out that we have filled the new position, the elementary curriculum coordinator. It's an internal promotion, and we're happy to have Katie Risk in that position.
So motion to move forward on the PAR report. Mr. Sini, second by Mrs. Achman. All in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you. Michelle, we will move back to public comment.
Good evening. If you would like to speak during public comment, please click the participants icon on the bottom of your Zoom screen. When it is your turn to speak, the facilitator will identify you and announce that you are unmuted for public comment. You will have up to 3 minutes to comment. There are no raised hands at this time.
Well, thank you for all of those that have stayed late night with us. Thank you to the board and the administration. Packed full agenda, but a lot of good conversation as always. Thank you to all the retirees again, to all the student award winners, and to the presentation on the senior projects. Thank you all for all the hard work. Have a good evening. Motion to adjourn. Mr. Sini, Mr. Brown, all those in favor.